Philadelphia, we are back at the Keswick Theater. Star Talk Live! And now, we're going to talk about black holes for the next hour and a half. You got it. Black holes. And I have some expertise in black holes, but not enough to fill the length of this show.
Okay.
So we combed the landscape for my colleagues who spend their lives thinking about black holes.
Yes.
We found one of them at Princeton University, not even that far up the street as far as distances go. Welcome to the stage, Jenny Green, professor of astrophysics. Jenny, there she goes. She's otherwise known as the black hole hunter. So you study supermassive black holes and how to find them and where they're located in the universe. So you're a black hole hunter. And you also, she is faculty director of the Prison Teaching Initiative at Princeton.
Wow.
This is, Princeton has a program where faculty go to the prison and teach. You teach algebra, is that correct?
Correct.
And so that the prisoners can come out with some kind of a degree and reduce the recidivism.
Yes.
We salute you. Next, another black hole expert. One of our favorites. She's a regular on Star Talk, really. And she is professor of physics and astronomy at Barnard and Columbia University. Jana Levin. Jana, come on out. Jana. So, just so we understand the context here, we have Jana Levin who approaches this problem of black holes as a physicist, and she's interested in cosmology, space-time continuum, and the like. Whereas we otherwise are searching for actual black holes in the actual universe, and so these are two sides of the same coin that we're going to explore this evening.
Nice.
So let's do this. All right. So, Jana.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing? All right. There was news yesterday, that there was a report that people, colleagues of ours, have images of where jets, these plumes of gas, spewing out from the centers of galaxies, that we have images of where that connects down to a black hole at the center. Could you please comment on that?
Yeah, so the irony is that black holes, which are by definition the darkest phenomena conceivable in the universe, are the brightest beacons as well, because they figure out a way how to access all the energy and light and power around them. So they power these jets. We can see the jets at great distances. Sometimes they're 1 million light years across. They're enormous. They're bigger than the entire galaxies. But what yesterday's result was about was seeing it attach itself threaded through the black hole. So we can see it so close to the event horizon of the black hole that it really validates the idea that it's the black hole that's doing this.
Okay, it just occurred to me. I know you're all fans of science. You wouldn't be here otherwise. But let's make sure we're on the same page. Okay? So tell us what a black hole is.
Right.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Look, I was not pointing to you, Chuck.
Woo!
Chuck,
I didn't want to ask myself. I'm
my-
just like, I was just like, oh, when are they going to get to this part?
You should always ask.
Exactly.
Always ask.
Yeah, so Jenny, tell us. Just give us the basics of a black hole.
So a black hole is an object
we got, yeah.
with so much mass in such a small space that not even light can escape its gravitational pull.
So is it fair to say that the escape velocity, which is the speed necessary to leave an object forever, On Earth, I memorized all these. On Earth, it's 7 miles per second.
Wow.
So Chuck, that old saying that your grandmother said, "What goes up must come down."
Right. Not true.
Not true.
My grandmother was dumb as hell.
So if you could throw, she just didn't have intro physics.
This
Chuck.
is true. Right.
So if you can throw faster than 7 miles per second, it will leave Earth and never
come back.
to Earth. Okay, and so the sun has an even higher escape velocity, as you might expect. So a black hole, the escape velocity, is it fair to say it's greater than the speed of light?
Even going at the speed of light, you could not escape the gravitational pull of a black hole.
So I'm on
Nothing.
Earth, I toss something up and it comes back. If I take a beam of light on the black hole and turn on the flashlight, what happens to the beam of light?
Ooh, I love that one. You can actually get it to hang there forever.
Light with hang time.
So the region that Jenny is talking about, beyond which not even light can escape, is known as the event horizon. And it's just a demarcation line. There's
Isn't that
nothing
a nice
there.
poetic term for something that'll just kill you? No,
Yes.
the event horizon. You got to say it.
It sounds innocent.
You have to say it's smoky light.
Yeah.
But if you release a little pulse of light exactly at the event horizon, it will try to race outward at the speed of light, but you can think of the event horizon as a region where space-time is falling inward like a waterfall at the speed of light, and so it just sits there.
Oh, look at that. Oh my God, you just described my marriage.
Good thing this isn't going to be on TV or anything.
Don't worry, she's here.
So Janet, you wrote a book called The Black Hole Survival Guide,
Yeah.
which is a little scary because you should not come close enough to a black hole
Yeah.
to ever have to think about surviving it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it doesn't end well.
Yeah. Okay. So you said that black holes are nothing.
Yeah.
They are no thing.
Yeah. They're not a thing.
They're not a thing.
They're not a
Oh,
thing.
I don't know why I was muted. I shouldn't have been muted. That's weird. I don't know what's up with that. Okay, cool. I'm here. I am audible now. So I was saying that the reason why Resident Evil 4 isn't up yet is because out of force of habit, I just entered into a poker tournament. Because that's what I usually do when I stream. I play poker. However, I got knocked out. So I can go to Resident Evil now. And I'm going to shrink this down. Just have this here, and then there it is. And then let me just check my graphics card settings. Okay, good. We should be good with no lag and all that. I'm gonna put my Discord over here. That's true. It was just so cheap when I ended. I joined in late to it too, but win some, lose some. I think this year, at least for sure, I've won a lot more than I've lost. Where's my controller? Oh wait, that's right. I have this controller hooked up to it. Right. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's my PS5 controller? Might be PS5, not PS4. Oh wait, maybe none of my controllers are hooked. I might have to hook a controller. And then, as soon as I get this going, I'll start the black hole lecture up as well. Oh, wait. Oh. It was the PS4 controller. Okay. We're good. It just took a minute to connect. So I actually went all in on Pocket 9s, and the person who called me had Pocket 10s. I was pretty salty about it, I'm not gonna lie. There is an element of luck, but like if I wasn't in this position where I was supposed to be streaming this game instead, I probably wouldn't have made that call. Let me tone down the graphics just a hair here, so that way I don't have any lag. That's negligible. Oh, I hate motion blur anyways. Okay, that should be good. Be much smoother. Okay. Options. Yeah, it feels a bit better. Okay, cool. Let me get the video going again. This up here. Change
You can think of a black hole in some sense as a place.
There we go.
It's a place, it's a region in space, as you've said, beyond which not even light can escape. But that region, that event horizon, is left like an archaeological record on the space-time. The thing that formed the black hole, maybe it's a collapsing star, it can no more sit at the event horizon than it can race outward at the speed of light. So once it collapses under its own weight and it forms this region where everything goes dark, it is forced to continue to collapse and leave behind an empty space with nothing in
It's
it.
a prisoner of itself.
Ooh.
Oh,
So its gravity created its own cage, in a sense.
Yeah, and when the star forms it, it is forced to disappear as well down the black hole. The black hole, it's like dispenses with the star. So whatever made it is gone. So if you go up to that edge of
Which
the
I'm
event
not,
horizon,
yeah.
it's as undramatic as stepping into the shadow of a tree. There's nothing there.
So when people think of a black hole as a solid object, clearly it's not.
It is not.
It's just a
You
region of
can't-
space.
Yes, it's a place.
A region of space. Okay, so what's some background on this? Jenny, can you tell me, when did the black hole physics come online?
Well, so one of the really cool things to me is that when I learned about gravity in high school, you know, I learned that it was a
We went to the same high school. Not at the same time, because I'm an old fart, but we went to the same it was the Bronx High School of Science.
Bronx High School of
Thank you,
Science,
thank you,
From
thank you.
Bronx in the house today.
where
Try.
I learned that gravity was a force of attraction because objects have mass, but light doesn't have mass. So there's this magical thing that it's actually bending in space and time, which light also moves through space and time and so knows the effects of gravity. So the very first thing was we had to have this idea of general relativity.
General relativity. So that's Albert Einstein, your favorite man?
My favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you guys should know this, that there's an ongoing feud between these two, whereas of course, Neil's
My
man
Newton
Feynman?
friend.
is Newton.
Yeah, Isaac
Oh.
Newton's the man.
Right,
Man.
yes.
And her man is Einstein. And often it's wonderful to get drunk and watch them fight about who is better.
Isaac Newton discovered the laws of optics, the laws of gravity, and
He also stabbed himself in the eye with a stick to test out the rods and cones.
yeah, just as an
Hey, let me just say, doesn't sound like a genius to me.
but he did all of that and decided to invent integral and differential calculus.
It's pretty impressive.
Then he turned 26.
Ooh.
Mic drop.
Oh. All right, Jana, your response?
Well, Einstein said of himself, you know, when I was a student, I was no Einstein. So he was
Okay.
actually
That's
not
really
a very
great
good
line, by
student.
the way. That's really cool.
All right, let me clear up a couple. So we needed Einstein to
Yeah.
advance these ideas, but Einstein did not even come up with the idea of a black hole. Actually, we can go farther back in time,
Okay.
to the late 1700s.
Okay.
There's a physicist named John Mitchell.
All right.
John Mitchell, forgotten, long forgotten.
He is, because until you said it, I still don't know who he is.
John Mitchell wondered, once the speed of light had been established, he wondered, could a star be so massive that the light cannot escape and that the star turns dark?
Ooh.
And he called them dark,
Dark
stars.
stars.
So this is the brilliant, even before Einstein, and before he had the math tools to do this, he advanced this concept. And oh, by the way, John Mitchell, I have on here in my notes what I think is fascinating. All his work was forgotten. No one knew about this.
Oh, yeah.
He had to be rediscovered. He was-
Clearly nobody,
Yes.
nobody here knows
okay,
about it.
well, okay. There's no
Got
picture
him.
of him.
Let's go.
And he was described by someone, this is fascinating,
Go
this is
ahead.
in England, of having, he was black of complexion.
Oh. Okay. So either he had bubonic plague or he was a black man.
Okay. Is bubonic plague Black Death? Is that right?
That's the Black Death.
That's the Black
That's
Death,
why they
yeah.
called it that, because,
Yeah.
you know, you actually turn black,
Yeah.
which is why it gets such a bad rap.
Is that why? There's no picture of him, so we actually portrayed him in Cosmos, and we had a black actor portraying him. Just put him in there. Didn't even mention anything about it. It was just
How fitting that a black man discovered the black hole.
Sure.
Behave yourself.
when we think of black holes, we think of this voracious vacuum cleaner that whichever direction it just eats things up. So is that accurate?
Well, as we have discussed,
Sorry, give me just a minute. My wife's got to go to the store. I'm going to talk to her for just like a minute. I'll be right back.
things can't usually fall directly
Okay, I'm
into a
back.
black hole.
Okay.
They have some energy. And so actually they tend to orbit,
Swirl.
swirl
Okay.
around the black hole. And this stuff
That doesn't sound like a very good vacuum cleaner if stuff's got to swirl first.
swirl
But it does
first.
sound like an awesome toilet.
Wait,
So cosmic toilet.
okay, so this whole thing that black holes suck, the way
Yeah.
a vacuum cleaner, this is
It's
wrong.
very overblown. If our sun right now were to turn into a black hole, it
With
would
the
be
mass that it currently has,
the mass that it
shrink
currently
it to a
has.
black hole.
Shrink it. Some evil genius comes along, figures out how to shrink it to a black hole. It becomes 6 kilometers across. It's a really tiny little thing. Our orbit would
This
be
is America. What's 6 kilometers?
Print something for my wife, and we could get back to the game.
I'll tell you what it is. None of my damn business.
It's about 4 miles across.
I've lost
Okay.
miles a long time.
You lost a long time ago.
Yeah,
It's
so
about
it
4
would
miles
fit
across.
inside New York City, you know.
Okay.
Our orbit would be just fine. So we would no more be sucked into a black hole than we are sucked into the sun. There would be very little detectable difference in terms of the Earth's orbit. We'd be perfectly fine. So this is a completely overblown
Wait, we
hysteria.
would-
Okay, I muted myself so you didn't have to hear that.
That would be bad.
Okay, so don't say we'll be fine.
Okay.
So be
The
clear.
Earth would be fine. The Earth would just keep
As a
right on.
planetary
yeah,
object.
right. As
the
a planetary
rock,
object.
The rock would persist in its orbit. We would be gone. Yeah.
and all life on Earth, but there's life that thrives undersea that absorbs energy from undersea vents, which is leftover heat from the formation of Earth.
Right.
So depending on your age in the audience, I am of that age, we learned that from our biology textbooks that all life on Earth requires sunlight to survive. Take away the sunlight, we'd all die. That's before we had discovered this life forms thriving at the bottom of the ocean that are a part of what we call extremophiles,
Extremophile.
life forms that do the backstroke in
Where the sun don't shine.
where the sun don't shine. Right. And so, just to be clear,
Yeah.
surface life would rapidly die.
Yeah, you got to get really close to a black hole is the point. Really, really close. This thing's only 6 kilometers across. You got to get within like 20 kilometers of it. I mean, you're right on top of
Which
it.
I have no intent of doing.
Yeah, and don't
Okay.
do it to the sun either, because
Yeah.
that would also end badly.
I'm going to ask that you guys stop speaking in metric terms.
Right. No, you could. NASA did a research study. They found that you can send.
The joking between the physicists.
Condor 1? You've been radio silent for 3 hours.
I'm gonna pause it for the little cutscene.
And the church? Still looking for whatever key I need. Copy that. I'm glad you're okay. Bruised out.
Yeah.
Astronauts to the sun.
I see.
Provided you visit at night.
Yeah, I understand.
Just saying. Jana, why?
You don't
If
reload it.
Einstein invented the framework to understand and even predict black holes, why didn't he predict black holes?
He did not,
Oh, no,
that's
it's
right.
just
And, or
Right,
why? And
twice.
when he learned about them, why was he in denial of them?
Yeah, so he gets a letter from a friend who's an astronomer who has enlisted in the German infantry as a German infantry soldier during World War I, and he's on the Russian front during the war. And the apocryphal story is that between calculating ballistic trajectories in the war, he's reading the proceeding of the Prussian Academy of Sciences.
Is this Carl
As
Schwarzschild?
you do, Carl Schwarzschild,
Carl Schwarzschild,
in which
okay.
Einstein has published his final description in mathematical terms. You know, he nails it. General relativity, the theory of curved space-time. And Carl Schwarzschild
So I just want to say the reason why I'm having this is because in the near future, when I do argue with Mr. Grill about black holes, I would just prefer it if the people that are regularly here at least have some idea about what's being said. And I don't suppose anybody to have information on like such esoteric topics.
Mitchell does this little thought experiment. He says, imagine the
This is while
entire
people are
mass.
shooting at him.
While people are shooting
Yes.
at him, yeah. He's in the trenches hiding and.
Oh, wait. Are they talking about
And he
Michio
does this
Kaku?
beautiful thought experiment. He says, imagine you crush the entire mass of a star to a point. He doesn't ask how this is possible or how nature could do such an absurd thing. That's not really of interest to him initially. He just says, imagine it. And then he asks of Einstein's equations to reveal to him what the nature of the curved space-time is as a result of that. And he
So
writes
this is a
down.
thought experiment.
It's a thought experiment.
With the math. Very
Yeah,
good.
Oh,
with the method. And
God.
he writes down the first description that has in it an event horizon, a region beyond which not even light can escape. And it has all the descriptions of the space-time around a black hole. Einstein's very impressed by this. He couldn't believe it. 6
Nope,
months
it's not.
Right, it's
after
fast.
Einstein publishes his theory. And he thinks this is terrific. He helps him get it published. But Einstein thinks, nature is going to protect us from their formation. After all, how are you possibly going to crush a star to a point? And so he doesn't think that they're going to be real. He thinks they're a
He thinks some
mathematical.
new law of nature
Oh, no.
yet to be discovered is going to save his ass.
Well, there are lots of laws that were there. Like, I can't crush this glass to a point. It's really hard. It resists pressure. There's
Yeah.
matter has pressure.
If you were a real housewife, you'd be able to do that.
I mean, it was
Only if it had
sensible.
Chardonnay. It's gotta have Chardonnay. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that over a glass of water. Exactly. So there was sensible reason to believe that matter would resist being crushed.
Okay. So this is not sensible reason. I would call it a bias. A bias that he had because he didn't think nature would do that. Okay. So now, when did we have our first evidence of a black hole?
Well, we had our first evidence of black holes, I believe, in the 20s, but I don't think
happened?
we
Oh,
figured
okay.
it out until the
It's just really funny. Michio Kaku also was like fighting at war and doing theoretical physics in his head and like working out equations. Very similar story. But yeah, I figured after they literally just described the that equation from Schwarzschild.
Okay. So
70s.
when did we first figure out that we had evidence of a black hole?
in the 1970s.
1970. So this is 50 years, 60 years after Einstein. Okay, so what's this famous bet between Stephen Hawking and not an Einstein?
Kip
what was
Thorne.
it? And Kip Thorne. Remind us who Kip Thorne is?
Kip Thorne is a very brilliant relativist. A lot of his work as a scientist was in the area of curved space-time, Big Bang black holes, wormholes, that sort of thing. He won the Nobel Prize recently, fairly recently, in the past few years, for his work.
2020.
Yep, in discovering or theorizing about the collision of two black holes ringing space-time like a drum. And when it was eventually observed, a project that he was involved in for more than 50 years, he received the Nobel Prize along with his collaborators. And he's also wrote the treatment for Interstellar.
The movie. The movie
the movie.
Interstellar.
He was a slacker.
Not only wrote the treatment, he was listed as executive producer
Yeah.
of the series. Did you guys see
Wait,
Interstellar?
what?
Okay. Wait, who has not seen Interstellar? Okay, security. Could you
Notice they did not-
escort that,
Notice they didn't clap.
No, they didn't clap. They didn't clap.
The people who saw it were like, yeah! Like, who has not seen it? I'm okay.
By the way, those who remember it, there's a robot in it that had these sort of funky rectangular legs.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of that robot? No? Well, there were several, but the lead one, it was called Kip.
It was called Kip.
The robot
After
was
Kip
Kip.
Thorne.
Kip
Right.
Thorne.
Yeah,
That's how you get
Kip
your
Thorne.
get situation in the
I
situation.
remember that because he told him to turn down the humor, and I was like, I'm done with this movie.
All right, so there was a bet between Stephen Hawking and Kip Thorne
Yeah.
about this, whether or not we actually had the data justified for a black hole. So what was the first black hole?
Well, I know it was a stellar mass black hole, so 10-ish suns, with a star friend, and the black hole is slowly eating material
come out the
from
other
the
way.
star.
So the black hole is flaying the star.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they should call them vampire holes. For real.
Yeah. So I remembered, because this swirling material that you began describing earlier can get very hot and start radiating in a form of light that you get when you have very hot gas, such as X-rays.
X-ray.
And so when we first had X-ray telescopes, we started discovering these sources of X-rays there was nothing else obvious happening in that region of space. And one of them was a strong X-ray source in the constellation Cygnus, and so it was sensibly called Cygnus X1. So I remember, I was alive, because that's how old I am, when that was discovered. We were very excited. We read all about it. Is that still to this day a confirmed black hole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
Be like, yeah. Okay, sorry.
But it is worth pointing out that that doesn't mean we could see the black hole. Like, you couldn't resolve the black hole. You were deducing that the object that was emitting this incredibly high energy, you could tell, had a certain amount of mass and was very, very small, and you deduce from that that it's a black hole. But all you could see were the X-rays, so you couldn't see the black hole itself. And I think this surprised people to learn that we really didn't see a black hole for many decades
Let me
more.
just understand this, and I'm serious when I'm
Yeah.
asking this. Are you saying that the X-rays were emanating from the black hole? Is that the black hole is spewing out X-rays?
It's emanating
Because-
from around the black
What's
hole.
that?
From around the black hole.
It's this stuff that's
Okay,
trying to
but-
fall into the
okay,
black
so
hole.
Don't
now-
you learn anything? They said nothing comes out of a black hole.
And that's my point. So how are you seeing something when nothing can escape it? How are you seeing anything around it? That's what I want to know.
It's because this reputation of black holes sucking up everything is overblown. Things can live very close to the event horizon of a black hole, be very hot, and you do
And
a
what's
lot of work on
happening
this.
in those
This is
bits?
new.
Right, so the stuff gets,
Stuff is swirling around
it wants to get into the black hole, but it has some energy, right?
Okay.
And so it can't just fall right in.
Right.
So what nature does is
It has
forms...
orbital energy.
It has orbital energy, that's right. It forms these disks, accretion disks.
Okay.
And what happens in the disk is that the gas cozies up with itself. It
Gotcha.
gets really nice and close.
and it gets hot.
It gets hot. It rubs against itself, it gets hot.
Okay.
And this is super exciting for astronomers because
shit. Did I miss
how
something?
astronomers study the universe is by gathering light.
Right.
And so without that stuff near the black hole, we wouldn't have
We
found
would
them.
not see.
So
Didn't
we're
and
not,
it's-
we're not seeing anything from the black hole itself. All we're seeing is what's happening around the black hole.
Yes.
And that excited material that gets all like, hey, man, we about to go into a black hole,
You're
man.
about to die.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then it gets hot and it gets excited. And then we see that as light. And that's how
Light
we know.
of high energy wavelengths.
High
yes.
energy wavelength.
Exactly.
And so it gets
What the hell is wrong with you people? That is amazing.
Wait. So
I just learned something. I don't know about you, but that is amazing.
okay, wait.
That is
so,
amazing!
So what's raising?
We see nothing, and we know everything from seeing nothing.
All right. Okay. Chuck just blew a gasket. We gotta repair Chuck.
This is why I love doing this show. I'm sorry. This is why I do it. That's amazing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, Chuck will be in for repairs this weekend. So this friction is the gas spiraling down, losing that energy that it
Oh, cool.
had, and it's got to end up slow enough to drop in.
It's circling the drain.
The drain.
Yeah.
The toilet
The
bowl.
toilet.
So, Richard, you've done this in cold weather, but you can just do it now. Rub your hands. It doesn't take much rubbing to feel the temperature of your hands go up. Just do it. You know the result, but just try it. Right?
First clap 'em, and then do that. And then go heal somebody. First you clap, then you rub,
Yeah.
and now you'll heal.
Oh. I told you Chuck needs repairs. Yeah, all right, so was there a bet, and who won it? Who bet on what?
Oh, so okay.
Stephen
so,
Hawking and Kip Thorne.
Kip is the loveliest guy, and he's a straight shooter. He's going to vote for the black hole, and Stephen was a bit of a trickster and had this kind of inimical quality to him.
She's on first name
Oh,
basis
Stephen.
with Stephen Hawking.
Oh,
Okay.
that's so obnoxious. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hawking was a bit of a trickster, and so he bet against black holes, even though so much of his life had been devoted to understanding them. I think he also suspected that they were observing a black hole, but he just wanted to, he wanted to bet the, I don't know,
Be
the
the antagonist.
opposition, be the
Be the
antagonist, be the
antagonist.
devil's advocate. So yes, he bet against Kip, but he did capitulate pretty early on. And I think the story is he broke into Kip's office at Caltech or some such.
Wait, Stephen Hawking did this?
Yeah.
What point in his life was?
That's a detail left out of the story.
I'm just trying
We'll
to
let
figure-
that one go.
I'm just saying.
We'll let that one go. Okay.
Okay.
So he rappelled down the building.
I mean, I would believe it, because I would leave it up to Stephen Hawking to figure out a way to rappel down a building.
Yeah, I think that the guy
break into
who's
Kip's office, yeah.
doing a lot of the
So
jokes
then
that
what
kind of
happened
miss
when he broke into
is
the office?
Well, I think he left him a note.
I think that he's
Okay.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's
Conceding
buddy.
that. Yeah.
They have a
Okay,
show
so
together.
That's odd for him to be anti-black hole because of his intellect. We know so much about.
I've always
black
taken
holes.
him to be like,
So one of them is like black holes are not forever.
Yeah.
So what do black holes do when left to their own?
be like the
devices?
guy who's there
okay,
for
so
like
this
the
is a
average
very subtle
person.
issue because Chuck already raised it. The black hole lets
To make it-
nothing
to keep
from
it
the
interesting
inside out
for
again. But
people that
Hawking
aren't there
figured
for the
out this
physics
very clever
necessarily.
way. The black hole could kind of steal energy from empty space. And I don't think you want me to get into this whole thing because this is a whole big thing. But there's this possibility that empty space sort of, has this frothing quantum foam that's sort of.
We got into the
And then-
quantum.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
and it is only when you introduce the quantum that this happens, only then. And he figured out a way that the black hole could steal a little from the empty
what
space.
you're saying is Newton gravity, Einstein gravity alone doesn't get you this result.
Does not.
He has to bring in quantum physics.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is the physics of the small.
Yeah.
To describe something that's going on in the physics of the large.
And for
Yes.
you children out there, sometimes when Newton gravity really loves Einstein gravity,
See what I mean?
they get together and they make a quantum.
All right. So is this when we
He's there for the people that got dragged to this thing. That's what I think his main role is in that. Yes, exactly. He's leaving to the scientist, buddy. I don't know where I'm supposed to get these shapes from. Let's see. Wait, I wonder if Could any of these combine to make the sigil?
Here that black holes evaporate.
So what happens is the black hole ultimately evaporates. It actually gets less massive, and it exposes something in the vacuum that has to radiate away. So it doesn't come from inside the black hole, but it's in tandem with this quantum process. But what it looks like from afar is it looks like the black hole is evaporating. It is emitting particles at a hot temperature, and it is getting smaller in the process.
When I first learned this, you know what
Need a
freaked me
clue.
out? And maybe it'll blow another gasket for Chuck. When I first learned this, it was like, wait a minute. It is spontaneously creating particles out of the gravitational field outside of the event horizon. Outside of the event horizon. So the energy there spontaneously becomes matter. The matter escapes, and the mass of the black hole drops. So what's inside
no.
the event horizon
I didn't
loses
cash in my
mass
Vipers.
to stuff that's happening outside the event horizon.
All right, I gotta go smoke some weed. I'll be right back.
Shoot.
That's exactly right. It
found.
essentially absorbs what we would consider to be a negative energy particle in favor of emitting a positive energy particle. You could say something like negative energies don't exist.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think the order that I press them in matters. It could, but I don't think so. I think what matters is the ones that get pressed. I'm gonna head over to this.
But because
This
of the
part isn't
relativity
a part of the
space and
original
time
one.
inside the black hole, you don't think it's a negative energy. You think it's a negative momentum. And so it's completely consistent with the laws of physics.
I'm leaving with Chuck right now.
Yo, that is dope. What you just described is what Harry Potter would call magic.
Yeah.
So where did the term black hole come from?
Oh, so that's a great story because Schwarzschild didn't call it a black hole. Einstein didn't call it a black hole. It was 1967, I believe, and the great John Wheeler, who was the kind of granddaddy of all of relativity in America.
And a student of
He trained Kip
Einstein.
Thorne. Yeah, a student of Einstein's, and he trained Kip Thorne and Richard Feynman and all of these great people. He was on stage near Columbia, like above Tom's Diner, you know, from Seinfeld, swear to you, and giving a lecture. It wasn't Tom's Diner, I don't believe, in the 1967. And he kept saying the end state of catastrophic gravitational collapse over and over again. And apparently from the back row, somebody shouted, "How about black hole?" And he just took it and foisted it on all of us. And one day he wrote something to the effect, like the Cheshire Cat, the star fades from view. One leaves behind only its smile. The other leaves behind only the black hole. I butchered that a little bit, but it's something
Okay,
like that.
wow.
And with that usage,
I
it was
just feel
on
bad
us.
for the guy who yelled it out. Because nobody will never know who he is.
Oh, right.
And he came up with the actual name.
Wife calls.
Jenny, you
Continue to
focus
listen to
on
the
supermassive
black hole thing.
And, you know, we bandy about the word super so often that it almost loses meaning. I'd like you to sort of give it strength and presence once again. So what's a supermassive black hole? What's an ordinary black hole? Is there a mini black hole? What is the mass range, and where do we find these beasts?
Yeah, so usually when we say supermassive, we're thinking about million suns. That's our own black hole at the center of the Milky
So
Way.
we say million suns, you mean take the mass of 1 million of our suns and cram it into one object to make a black hole. 1 million.
1 million.
And by the way, if the sun were hollow, you could pour 1 million Earths into it.
So a million.
Million.
A million is what a supermassive black hole is.
Correct. Okay.
Right.
The low end.
What?
The low end.
Yeah.
They can be 1 trillion.
Yeah, so the friend we talked about earlier, where we saw the base of the jet, M87, we know we've seen a picture of its event horizon. That's 1 billion suns. So that's
No,
some
you got to say it. Billion.
billion.
Carl Sagan like.
You can put your chin out. Everybody together. Yeah. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Billion.
See, that's how you do that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's how you do that. Okay. So go on.
Right. So when I was a kid, we also had the SIG X1s of the world. These are like the mass of the sun, but a bit bigger, so maybe 10 suns. Now LIGO, We've seen black holes, or we've heard black holes
LIGO
merging.
is the abbreviation of the telescope, the gravity telescope that Kip Thorne pioneered, laser interferometer gravitational wave observatory. Okay? So go on.
And they forget, where's the wave? See, every time y'all say that, I'm like, there's no W. But never mind. Go ahead.
Like,
They
Astronomers
hyphened
love their acronyms. Don't let real
okay,
words
so
get in the way.
LIGWO. Is that what you're trying to say? All right,
Exactly.
fine. Go ahead.
So for all time, it was 10 suns and then 1,000,000 suns. And one of the amazing things for me as an astronomer that LIGO has taught us is that it's actually, these stellar mass black holes go all the way up to 100 suns at least. But that still leaves a big space between 100 and 100,000 or 1,000,000, and we just have no idea. We just don't know.
Okay, so we don't even know what mechanism could create such an object.
Well, so with the 10-ish sun black holes, we
That's
actually...
just a dead, fat star.
That is the death of
We
a
got that.
star.
We
Yes.
got that.
And then these things up to 100, they seem to be probably the mergers of
those.
those.
Okay.
Right?
Because we don't know
we
how
see
to,
them merging.
that, Chuck, you see what she did there? It's like, we don't really know how to make those, so let's add the others together, and that's how you get that.
But LIGO has detected 30 and 30 or 60 and 30 merging to the 100 range.
I get that, but we don't know how. How to make those, so you just staple together the ones that are 10 solar mass. Is that what you're doing?
Well, not with the supermassive.
Okay.
Not with a staple gun.
You
And
guys are witnessing your first science fight.
like nerd fight. All right. So I just admit we don't know what could make a 30 to 100 solar mass black hole.
No, 30 to 100 you can, but 1,000,000 we don't know.
A
how.
million, we have no idea.
But you haven't detected 1,000,000 yet.
Yeah, like the supermassive at the center of our
Our
galaxy,
own
4
Milky Way is
million.
1,000,000.
4
Yeah,
million.
4 million.
4 million.
3 point, yes.
4 million. Okay.
Yeah.
And the one you mentioned, M87, is
When we come
6.5
back,
billion.
we will resurrect this argument about how massive the black holes are and what in the universe is making them.
Not that size matters.
On Star Talk. We're back for segment 2 at the
What the hell? My button's not working, man. I hit the button. That should be good now. Yeah, I can see it. I said I was talking to somebody about the Kelly and Tom thing because I was defending Tom on Wick's show earlier. They're just giving me some additional context, and I want to make sure that if somebody's going to try to help inform me, that I'm going to be available to listen. But now they're going to bed, so I'll be able to be more present. I really wanted to find where the merchant was so I could store some of this stuff. I have too much stuff. Let's see. This is like a gather resources section of the game, it seems like. Because I have all this access. I have access to all these different areas. It's like, hey, go back and get all the shit that you missed now that you have a treasure map.
Keswick Theater, Philadelphia.
Oh, and I also said that guy is pretty ruthless with the jokes.
I got with me Jan Levin, black hole extraordinaire expert, and Jenny Green, a professor at Princeton University. And we have Chuck Nice. Okay. So in this segment, we want to spend a little more time on detecting the undetectable. And of course, our friend, the one with black complexion, gave a first indication, John Mitchell, of how you might detect it. And that was if a star is dark, and
It will get pulled over by the star police
That one
in
wasn't
a
bad.
second. Do you know why I stopped you? I was not doing faster than the speed of light.
Okay. He let it go on too
That
long.
would be impossible.
but we clocked you at 1.5 the speed of light. The speed of light, it's not just a good idea, it's the law. Yeah.
Jesus.
So
Make it
so-
stop.
so
Oh my
by then
God.
we knew that there were stars that were double. There were double stars. More than half the stars
Yeah.
you see in the night sky come in at least pairs, and in some cases triples, and even entire clusters.
That's stun
So
locked.
the isolated star is not even all that common.
Okay. Take me back
And
to
the
here.
only, I would say, single correct science out of all 30 Star Wars movies was in the first Star Wars 1, which I think they call Star Wars Part 4.
That's right.
Where they show Luke was at the sand planet, and he comes out, and there's a double sunset
Right.
on the horizon.
Yeah.
And I said, somebody finally did this. And so more power to the people who thought that up.
That's the only thing they got right.
That's the only thing they got right in the entire series. Just thought I'd put that out there. You want to fight? Meet me outside. We'll after school. So what he said. So if you just see a star doing loop de loops,
Okay.
and
I've
you
never
don't
been
otherwise
here.
see
What
anything
did I miss?
there, then something dark has gravity and is tugging on it. So Jenny, pick us up from there. All right. Now we left off when we began with this jets and the thing and all this stuff, and Chuck blew a gasket here in that we still can't see black holes. We got an hour and a half show on black holes, and we still can't see them. So what are the clever ways that ingenious astrophysicists have come up with to detect them?
Right, so this is why I'm on Team Newton, because almost all the ways that we find black holes actually don't even need general relativity. It's just Newton's laws, right?
Like
so,
I said, Jana.
I'm going to be the one waiting for you outside.
Found a
right,
ring.
so the star friend of Sig X1, we can watch it going around Sig X1, and we can figure out there must be a really dense object there. Just like planets going around the sun, we can figure out the mass of the black hole. And in fact, we can do the same for the black hole at the center of our own galaxy, Sagittarius star, and
So there's a black hole. So the Milky Way has its own black hole.
we have our own supermassive black hole. We have
Supermassive black-
lots and lots of stellar mass black holes.
And we agreed that's 4 million times.
4 million suns.
And the thing about black holes is that they're spatially small. So that's less than
Sick.
20 times the width of the sun, but it's 4 million times the mass.
The mass.
So picture the sun on the sky. Don't stare at the sun, but like picture the sun in the sky. Imagine just 20 times across, and this thing
And they
is
cram a million suns.
4 million.
4 million
And
suns.
then
into
push
that
it,
space.
Yeah, and then push it 26,000 light years away, and it's like a tiny, teeny little thing on the sky.
Because I'm playing
So
on
it's
hard, I
about
gotta
as
make
big
sure
on
that I get all the
sky as
treasure so I can
people
upgrade my
liken it
guns.
To a piece of fruit on the moon.
I'm not gonna make
So
it.
it's really tiny, and that's why black holes are so challenging, because despite their heft, they're spatially small.
So,
Okay. Small and hefty.
all right. So we have this range.
There are many jokes I'm not doing right.
All right. I'm of the age where black holes in the centers of galaxies was a new idea. We found them
Shit.
in one galaxy and then another random other galaxy. And as we do in my field, if you find it in this galaxy and that galaxy, then all galaxies must have it. That was the driving presumption. And sure enough, when Hubble came online, it had good views down in the centers of galaxies, and bada bing. We have yet to find a galaxy that does not have a
Yeah.
supermassive black hole. Is that correct? I guess not. Okay.
That's not correct.
Sorry. Meet me outside. We'll settle this in the parking lot. No.
Great.
Big
Okay, so-
big galaxies like our Milky Way or M87.
Yes.
So far as we know, they all or most.
Isn't
But
that-
so far as
well,
we know,
okay.
all.
Wait, here's the real question. Have we found galaxies where there are
Yeah.
not supermassive
Big
black holes?
galaxies.
Big yes, yeah.
Red-blooded American galaxies.
Yeah, like the kind of galaxy you would put in the back of a cosmic pickup truck.
Yeah, a pickup truck with a
What
gun
the
rack.
fuck?
That's right.
You got one of those?
We have
Don't do it.
smaller galaxies that don't have black holes.
Is it possible
I
they
don't.
were?
We have not yet asked for their passport, so we can try
All right,
that.
all right.
Okay, I got
All
you.
right, so now this galaxy, one of the most massive galaxies in our catalogs, is in the Virgo cluster, supercluster of galaxies, because galaxies cluster the way stars cluster.
They're very cliquish.
That's the universe just doing its thing with gravity. So we have the Virgo supercluster, has thousands of galaxies. The most massive galaxy in that is in the Messier catalog. Messier was a French astronomer in the 1700s.
And an awesome hockey player.
He wanted to make a catalog of fuzzy objects in the night sky so that you don't confuse them for comets that you might be trying to discover.
It's pretty cool, man.
So it's called the Messier catalog. And it's really the catalog of not comets. But it turned out to be a catalog of the most famous fuzzy objects in the night sky, including Messier 87, which is this supermassive galaxy. It's
Guess
far
I didn't
enough away
really need to
it's
go
a
there.
smudge of light, but it's got trillions of stars. So we, the astronomical community, recently published a photograph of that black hole. Tell me about it.
We can actually see
Oh,
light
shit.
swirling around the event horizon
Hate
because
dogs.
astronomers
No,
are
oh, no.
incredible at working together to build these pictures. And as Jana said, it's a piece of fruit on the moon. You
In
can't-
terms of
in
angular
terms
size.
of how
Damn it.
big it is in
Wait,
the
wait.
sky.
So I've heard there's something called the Event Horizon Telescope. So that lets you think there's like one telescope sitting somewhere looking for black holes. But what is it
Come on,
actually?
look up. What
So
are you doing?
it's a network
happening?
of telescopes. And what's
Oh no, my
important
controller
for
died.
getting
My controller
a tiny,
died.
tiny picture is that you put your telescopes as far apart as possible so that you can get this really, really high angular resolution.
So you're not getting different sets of data in principle. You're getting one coherent set of data as though the telescope were as wide as the diameter of the Earth.
Basically. Although you have to work really hard to make the data
Taking the
coherent.
same
It's the same,
picture.
a bunch of cameras taking the same picture.
Yes.
And you get the resolution of
I guess I'll be
something
right back.
as wide as
I know,
as
it was
though your
really
telescope
bad.
As
were
though
that
your
size.
telescope were that size. But in fact,
Go back and trying to joke on every single topic, dude. Yeah. I agree. I agree, yeah.
you have all of these
100%.
different telescopes you're
And you have
coordinating.
to combine them.
They each have detectors that somebody
Be
had
right
to
back.
build and commission.
How many total astronomers are involved in this? Approximately.
300?
300
I don't know
all
the
around
number.
world?
Is it bigger than
Different-
that?
I looked at a list of the collaborators, and I'm like, what? Because in it are
He's like, I cannot believe they let George on here.
there are countries that historically and even today were at war with one another. Yet the scientists are collaborating.
Yeah.
Can you comment on that?
Oh yeah, I
That
absolutely.
deserves applause.
Yeah.
I don't know who wanted to applaud.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
started applauding, but yes, that deserves applause because, quite frankly, only these guys can absolutely hate each other, but love science so much that they will continue to work together. And that should be a model for the rest of us to follow.
Right. The geopolitics of the world.
It should be.
So the Nobel Prize in Physics, which includes prizes for astronomy, can only be awarded to 3 people or less. And there has been sort of a discussion, I don't know how seriously it was taken, that the Nobel Peace Prize should be given to major
No,
scientific
this'll work.
collaborations. Because they are working both across things like the Large Hadron.
Okay, I found one. Yeah. So I found one. I'm just gonna let it charge for a minute. I'll come back to it. Let's make the physics big for a few. Oh, I can't unplug that. I can plug it in here. The USB's all over the place. Let it charge for a few. That way, if it like pops out, then it'll still stay connected, hopefully.
Hadron Collider, the James Webb Space Telescope, the Event Horizon Telescope. These are examples of what human beings can do if we put our minds to it.
As a model for geopolitics.
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
absolutely.
Here, here.
So you'd simply open up the Peace Prize to not only the usual things that might earn it, but then the collaborations that transcend governments.
There
All
are
right, enough of your
demonstrations of
commercial.
it.
Okay.
We got the message.
All right. So I want to get back to this jet we first started talking about.
Yeah.
So
I was saying I'll be back in a minute so I can use the restroom, but the restroom is occupied. So in a few, I'm going to take a short break, but
we
we
get
good for
this
now.
disk, accretion disk, which is officially called around a black hole. By the way, when I think of accretion disk, I kind of think of a middle accretion disk around my equator, the middle-aged man accretion disk.
Why? Are you eating accretions?
No, just so okay. We got through that and we rubbed our hands and we figured this out. But now we have jets. So tell me about jets.
Oh, yeah.
I'll talk about, do you want to talk about jets?
Go for it.
No, you go for it. You go for
I
it.
will tell you this about jets.
I
Roger,
like she leaned in on that one.
Yeah.
Grabbed the drink.
And before you do, let me tell you about jets. When you're
we're
a
just
jet,
charging
you're
now.
a jet all the way. From your first cigarette to your last dying day.
So I have these accretion disks. How do we get a jet out of that?
well, I guess the exciting and beautiful thing is we don't really know.
Oh, okay.
It's got
So-
something to do with the black hole. The black hole's got a lot of energy. There are these particles that are accelerated. We think we're getting the energy from the black hole to power the jet. But I'll tell you what, when I go to meetings about black holes and accretion, the jet session is when I leave to go see the European town that I'm visiting.
That was a big confession. That was like a public
That was the most
confession.
elegant diss I've ever heard.
That was cold-blooded.
I'm so sad it died right
30
then.
years we've been talking about how to
Yeah.
accelerate jets, and we just don't know.
But I do think that the irony is that what the black hole is basically doing is it's acting kind of like an electromagnetic battery. So there are these magnetic fields that are threaded through the accretion disks that the black hole can't do on its own. It needs that stuff around it. And then the churning of the space-time due to the black hole actually basically creates a gigantic battery which starts to power these jets. So these jets are electromagnetically powered. And so black holes go from being the darkest phenomena conceivable, as we discussed in the beginning, to the largest sources
Engine.
of electromagnetic power in the universe that we can see at the edge of the universe.
So is this an overload of this electromagnetic battery that it just can't contain all the energy that is being generated inside this accretion disk, and all of a sudden
We
it's just
accelerate
like,
the
it
particles
accelerates
out.
the particles,
Yeah.
they get excited, and they're just like, I'm out of here!
Yeah,
And that's it?
Well, literally, it's churning up the magnetic fields, and then the magnetic fields are literally like wires in a circuit, and the charges are currents.
Following them out like
They're
currents.
currents flying out on the circuit.
This is why science is awesome!
Okay, all right.
That's the second thing I learned tonight. That's amazing!
It is amazing.
Chuck just blew a third gasket on that. So Jenny, tell me about your work with the James Webb Space Telescope. We've all been enchanted and stupefied by the beauty and majesty and its access to previously untouchable parts of the universe.
So it's really life-changing. I would say it's like a once-in-a-career experience it's been for me to see the James Webb
Okay,
data.
cool. All right.
So as we said there are stellarish mass black holes and there are supermassive black holes, and then we don't know how to make the supermassive black holes, but we figure they must have started out smaller. somewhere in this intermediate mass black hole regime where we can't find any. But for my whole career, I've been saying if we can find these intermediate mass black holes, we can understand how supermassive black holes form. And I've been saying we're never going to find them back near the Big Bang early in the universe because we just don't have the telescopes. So let's look for them nearby. And that's been most of my career. And now all of a sudden, we put this, 6-meter gold-plated thing into space, and we are, honest to God, we're finding the baby black holes.
You're finding baby
The
black
baby
holes?
black holes?
Yeah.
Oh my God, are they cute?
They are so cute.
Are they like Grogu? Are they like little baby Yodas?
I don't know how you would feel if you saw the spectra, but when I see it, I'm like, oh, it's so
Well, you're
cute.
reacting not to a photo of the black hole, you're reacting to a spectrum of the energy emitted in the vicinity of the black
Right,
hole.
it's the secretion disk again. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna
And
see if the
you just
restroom's
sort of
open, and I'm gonna see if
warms
it's open.
or-
It looks like
Oh,
the
okay.
data
I
that
gotta tell you,
All right, should be
kinda
good now.
sounds like you're
Hopefully,
being catfished.
plugged in.
I really hope not.
Okay, I want to find something different. I too have had enough of the jokes. Thanks. Also, I'm going to be watching like a 3.5 hour long documentary at some point. I got permission from the creator, thanks to Elk, providing me with good information on how to reach them, as per Elk's request.
Former
And
captain of the Bronx High School of Science wrestling team, and is the author of the book that we're honoring tonight, "Death by Black Hole and
So-
Other Cosmic Quandaries," now in paperback by Norton Press. So if you want to know what a cosmic quandary is,
whatever day nothing pops up,
pseudo
I don't have anything planned, so we're going to fit it in probably Wednesday or Thursday.
highest spot on Earth, and the answer is not
It's just
Mount
science is a
Everest.
profession, big
A
ups.
scoop of which
Agreed.
planet, if you scoop a piece of it, will float into your bathtub?
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Why is the statue of Atlas carrying the world on Fifth Avenue across from St. Patrick's Cathedral at Rockefeller Center, that Atlas, why is that statue suddenly more accurate than it used to be? To answer these quandaries, as well as other more profound questions, let's welcome Bronx boy, Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
It did count me getting that stuff already. I'm not looking forward to this part.
The
You get to it before
highest
it
spot on Earth is not Mount Everest,
spawns
the
out.
book says. It's something else. What is it?
First, it's true not because my book says it, but simply because it's true.
Shit.
Okay, let's want to clarify that.
You know what? I can just dip.
No, I mean Earth.
I don't have to stay here, I
The
don't think.
astrophysicist, we don't really care
Shit.
much about sea level. No. You want to be high, you're measuring your distance from the center of the Earth.
From the very center of the Earth.
Any other scientists stop trying to
Is
humor
that
me.
different from the center?
I'm trying to
Okay,
give it.
the
I'm
very
trying to give it
center of
emphasis.
the Earth. I don't know how many centers you know of. Okay, the very center of the Earth.
The really very, very center
Yes.
of the Earth.
So you want to find the farthest point from that center. And it turns out sea level at the equator is farther away from the center of the Earth than sea level near the poles. It has nothing to do with global warming and melting of the ice caps.
Why is that?
Because Earth, we know it spins once a day. Yes, thank you. 3 people know how long a day lasts here.
Good for row number 2. They're off to a great start.
So, so you spin. You know, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. Gets wider in the middle, and so Earth,
That'll work.
throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning, and it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles. So it's not actually a sphere.
There it is.
It's oblate, and officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
Ooh.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good word. It's like pear-shaped.
Yeah.
So, it turns out the pear-shapedness is bigger than the height of Mount Everest above sea level.
How much higher is the tall mountain that you identify in this book, which name I forget, and probably you do too, in Peru, or is it Ecuador?
Ecuador.
Ecuador. How much higher, if you were on top of this mountain in Ecuador, how much higher than the Mount Everest would you be?
There's a 20,000-foot mountain in Ecuador,
That way?
which is right. Ecuador is
going?
like near the equator, hence Ecuador.
Oh, you're just not giving up.
And that mountain is actually, the summit of that mountain is 1 1/3 miles higher away
Let's
from Earth's
see.
center than the.
Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't my favorite. He's always been one. I hate him. He's definitely a figure in a personality instead of a scientist and an academic. He just has this little arrogant smugness that you can't separate away from him, no matter the good faith.
Summit of Mount Everest.
Yeah, I went with him because, like,
Okay.
at the very
Wait,
least,
but you gotta know. Let me just so you understand.
nobody's going to debate away his
We've been
credibility.
fed a lie our entire. I want to call it a lie.
This isn't
We've been
spot.
It's a
fed.
point of view thing, I think.
We've been fed a. We've been.
Um,
Earth has been misrepresented.
that's pretty
to
much been
us
it. But I
by
understand that
geologists.
as well.
Because the globes that you buy, that you rub your fingers over, and you feel the Himalayas and you feel the Rocky Mountains.
He's very much.
No, okay.
There's
These
a reason why he's the
mountains
physicist that goes on TV a
are
lot.
Puny compared to the size of the Earth. You would not know they were there. If you were truly that size, some big cosmic giant lumbering through space, coming upon the Earth, rubbing your hand on it, the depth of your, what do you call these things?
Your finger.
The fingerprint
prints.
mark, the depth of that would be greater than the entire range of distance from the Marianas Trench in the bottom of the Pacific to the top of Mount Everest.
Okay, maybe
Therefore,
this
you
is where I'm
close your eyes,
supposed to
rub your
be.
finger, you would not know whether you are on ocean, valley,
shit.
mountain, or hill.
Well, you might be wet or dry. You might be,
Well, by how much wet?
a little.
How? No.
Yes.
You wouldn't even notice it. You're not going to say, oh, I got to dry my hand. The depth
Yeah.
of the ocean doesn't measure up to the depth of your fingerprint. That's my point.
Oh.
So we've been fed this misrepresentation of our own planet on the belief that, in fact, we have real.
Oh shit! I
surface
thought I hit them
tension,
both.
But cosmically speaking, we're practically a perfect sphere.
Riddle
I
number.
sound disappointed people there. I'm just letting you
Well,
know.
I don't know.
This is like the planet you live on. Just so you know. Oh, by the way, how pear-shaped are? It's like, a dozen, 20 miles. It's in the teens. So it's not
Wait,
that
what?
much. But Mount Everest is only 6 miles above.
I
sea
didn't
level.
use it.
And Marianas Trench is 5 miles down. So the distance.
What the fuck
from
did I
the bottom
do?
of the lowest point on Earth's crust to the highest point is less than the length of Manhattan. Less. You can drive that. And
Yeah.
That's not.
If Neil deGrasse Tyson says something about astrophysics, you can probably take that to the bank. I think it'd be pretty rare that I would expect him to say something that is incorrect, especially because he's such a public figure, so that he wouldn't want to be stating anything that could be interpreted as wrong. It could hurt his credibility and then hurt his airtime.
What? The height of Mount Everest is 6 miles. That's 10 kilometers. People just run that. The problem is that's straight up. It's up, of course, but it's not as far as you think. Just put that in perspective.
A scoop of
Wait,
which.
is that the biggest quandary you could get?
Well,
out of
no,
this book?
it's one
We
of
got
the
people getting
quandaries.
ripped apart. You're asking me about. Okay,
Well, I'll
go.
get to the rip apart. I thought I'd start low. We kind of scale up. A scoop of which planet, if you scooped up a piece of it, would float in your bathtub?
Oh, it doesn't have a green plant in it. I see.
In case you didn't know, we happen to live on a dense planet, Earth. Okay, I was referring to the material, not the brain power of who.
Except for row 2.
We live on Earth. It's dense, and so too is Venus and Mars and Mercury. We're rocky planets. Then you go beyond the asteroid belt, you get the big bulbous gas giants. They're all very low density, beach ball-like. Jupiter,
Damn it.
Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Among them, Saturn
hate
is
these.
by far the least dense. In fact, it is less dense than water. And anytime you have those conditions going for you, you will float in a bathtub. In fact, when I was a kid, I knew this, like when I was 10 years old, and I wanted, instead of a rubber ducky, I wanted a rubber Saturn that I could play with. And people just thought I was weird.
Oh,
Why is the statue of Atlas carrying the world on Fifth Avenue suddenly up to date?
Ooh, that's a good one. Atlas, you know, Atlas. Plus, I think he's carrying the universe, not just the world.
Okay.
And in the old days, it was the known universe. I mean, he was carrying not just Earth, I think. It was the whole world. World, capital W,
Right.
Wrong way.
That statue was designed in the 1920s. It actually wasn't put together until the 30s, but it was designed in the 1920s. And the way the sculptor represented the universe was on the yoke of Atlas's back. He put the symbols of the planets. And so he's got Mercury, there's a symbol for Mercury, Venus, Earth, a little symbol for the moon sitting next to it, it's kind of cute. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Okay? Atlas is Pluto-less. He's Pluto-free because he was designed before 1930 when Pluto was discovered. And then Pluto got discovered, but he's already kind of put together. And
Gold
so
bar.
he was missing a planet for 65
Okay.
years until we came along and asserted that he's right on cue again. I hear some Pluto lovers out there.
Yeah. Thought we
Look, I was just in Disney World, and like I told Pluto, I got like VIP to come in the back, and Pluto's there, you know, and I whispered in his ear like that I had something to do with this, and he looked real sad afterward. And he goes, we should have brought the picture.
Was there a relationship, by the way?
He's not doing much better with the
Because I think probably the cartoon character
being serious
came to
on his
be
own.
roughly around the same time.
No, exactly the same time. The Pluto the dog, which in case this is the Upper East Side, I don't know how much Disney you know, but Pluto the dog is
Row 2, actually, they're all wearing.
the dog. It's Mickey's dog. Mickey Mouse's dog is named Pluto, and I've always wondered, of course, like what does that mean? Like, why is Pluto Mickey's dog and Mickey is not Pluto's mouse? I've always been troubled by that. But then I had to get to the bottom of that, and then I learned. I called.
There's an answer to
I
this?
called top people at Disney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's how you can become the pet of another animal. The rule is, if you don't wear clothes, you can be a pet. And Pluto runs around butt naked, whereas Mickey wears the bow tie.
It's true.
So Mickey talks, Pluto barks. That's how that works. In case you didn't know.
There is also this thing. Mickey never seems to. He has always wearing gloves. I mean, apparently, if Mickey has nails, we're never allowed to see them. Just thought I'd throw that
That
out.
would be true, but wouldn't they be claws though?
Or
I mean,
claws.
He's a rodent.
But
yeah.
he's got white gloves. He's like dressed for high tea.
Right, with
at all
3
times.
fingers on it.
Yeah,
too,
yeah. All right. Well, now that we've
cleared
cleared
that
up the
up.
big ones.
Well, where were we going with that?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to try to take it some direction or other.
Oh.
The book's introduction says that.
Yes,
there
not
was
everything I
once a
got
time
counted.
When physicists, when really important
Back here.
physicists felt that all the big problems of physics had been kind of figured out. You then comment in the introduction, but our species is dumber than we normally admit to ourselves. And you list a bunch
Oh,
of
I just
what
missed
are
it.
really interesting unanswered questions. So let me just take you through some of these.
Thank you.
So they're your
All right, I'll be back in just a minute.
questions. The first one
You may turn up
is,
the volume? Sure.
how did the universe begin? Like, what started it? You have
I'll be
nothing.
right back. I just gotta use the restroom.
You have
I'll be back to it.
like King Lear said, nothing comes from nothing. So how do you? Let's start with how do you get from nothing to
Is that better?
something?
We have no idea. So, next question.
Yeah. Oh,
We got top people working on that one. Okay.
and they all have pets, butt naked pets.
Actually, it's not that we have no idea.
There you go. Should be
we
good
have
now.
some rather interesting ideas, and they're all traceable to the concept of the multiverse, where we,
Okay, cool.
in our friendly universe with known laws of physics, are just one bubble of many bubbles that would come in and out of existence in this sort of meta system of multiverses. And if that's the case, then we can definitely point to a beginning of our universe because there's some other structure that's there pumping them out and pulling them back. But that just simply shifts the question to how did the multiverse get here?
Yeah,
And we
that
have
doesn't
no
seem
clue.
like a very. That's sort of a turtles all the way down kind
Yeah,
of.
in principle it could be, unless the multiverse was always there. And I know that's philosophically unpleasant, but if you're exploring open-minded to what is possible in the universe, quantum mechanics looked really weird to us in the 1900s, in the early 1900s. Just because it looks weird doesn't mean it can't be true.
So does that mean that what we think of as nothing is actually more than nothing? So
Yeah, there are levels of nothing. For example, if you go out into space, where there's no air, you'd call that nothing. But now sort of leave the universe where there's not even space. That would not even be nothing. If space is nothing, and then you don't have space, what else are you going to say? It's not even nothing. Or rather, we have yet to come up with a word for it because we don't understand enough about it to name it.
what about the idea somehow that something pops into existence? Okay, so we'll call it
Wait, by the
matter.
way, he's going to ask me all these questions about which we have no answer. Yes, that's part of the book, but there's a lot of other kind of known stuff in the book too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You don't have to buy it, just be depressed that we don't know what's going on. Just want to clarify that.
This is a subset of that question. We'll skip over the part we don't know, and we now look at the stuff that pops up. So it's something called matter, but you do describe that for everything that we observe, every proton, every neutron, every electron, there seems to be a equal and opposite thing carrying an opposite charge. So for the sake of vanity, I guess we call it antimatter. But the question, and when they meet, they essentially annihilate each other.
They're not even essentially. It's just annihilate.
So how
No
come,
modifier necessary. Yeah.
but still we're here. So if every electron in you, every neutron in you, and every proton in you has an equal and opposite and antagonistic opposite, why aren't you popped out of existence before you even start?
Because in fact,
In the back. Oh, I didn't mean to pause it.
not all matter particles have opposites in this universe.
And isn't that a mystery?
Yes, it is. One of the most interesting mysteries of the early universe. And if I may give some background on that.
Sure.
14 billion years ago, or if you want to be
I don't know where I'm supposed to go, though.
13.7 billion years ago, the universe was much smaller, much denser, much hotter. So hot that matter and energy formed this soup of interplay. Right now, you take it for granted that we sit here and you're not going to pop into a ball of energy and dissipate into space. We kind of expect that that is not going to happen quite that way to you. And so why? Because we don't live in an environment for which that's an everyday occurrence. But there are environments in the universe where that happens all the time. Like, for example, the center of a star, at the origins of
Oh,
the
I guess I go
universe.
here.
In fact, if we were immersed in those environments
That's my guess.
and did not otherwise vaporize, it would be a very natural thing to watch particles pop into existence out of nothing, but it's actually energy, and watch particles come back together and make energy again. That's a very natural thing. Exotic to us, requiring an Einstein to have figured out. But under some conditions, it's just every day. So you go back in time, and you say, here is this ball of energy. And as the universe cools, the energy spontaneously becomes matter. Now, if you're hot enough, that is a two-way street. Matter becomes energy, energy becomes matter. But as the universe expands and cools, you reach a point
Yep.
where the pool of energy is no longer high enough to make particles. Okay. Well, if that's the case, all matter and antimatter would come back together, annihilate, make a beam of light, and all we have in the entire universe are beams of light. But that's not the
Great stream yesterday. Cool to see you have the kind of stream with decently well-known people in the space. Oh, yeah, I get to. Yeah. It was so unexpected. Like even the topic that I originally was gonna stream about yesterday, I wasn't really planning on it. I just seen that tweet. I was like, I think that this is worth talking about because leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And since I'm gonna be going and doing the canvassing for Progressive Victory, I wanted to make sure that like I said where I stood on it. But then it just got so wild. I didn't think people were that upset about it. But yeah, I do have a pretty, I would say, pretty well established relationship with a lot of streamers to where at least like they know me and trust me enough to come on and all that. Food Chops is supposed to be there. The video could still be louder. It's at maximum. I turned it up all the way up on the video. I turned my volume all the way up, and I turned up the volume output on OBS to maximum. I'm sorry. That's as good as I could do. It exploded in emotions and conspiracies. Yeah. My main concern, and I asked Wick about it, and he said he did fine, but I don't know how he actually feels about it, is that I just want to make sure that I was doing my best to rein in any bad faith that people had in accusations. One of the people that I called out for, and I was like, "Stop! You can't ask that. That's clearly bad faith." Yuki, they messaged me and they told me that they actually appreciated my moderation, and they said something to the effect of like, they can be basically that like they can be nasty sometimes. So they're glad that I reined it in. I'm paraphrasing as fuck, but like that was the essence of what they said. So that felt pretty good to hear. Because otherwise, like, if I can't provide something like that, then I really don't feel like I have any purpose or desire in doing anything involving like the kind of dramas that can happen in the space. Because one thing I don't ever really want to do is I don't really just want to signal boost drama. That would be that's not really my deal. But I think that seeing how that went, I wouldn't be opposed to if I cared about the subject, I wouldn't be opposed to inserting myself as like a good faith arbiter, because that's something I think that doesn't almost ever happen. It's usually people just wanting to get views off of making the most explosive kinds of claims against people that they possibly can. And then people like getting all hyped up about it and shit. Like, that's not really my jam. But being able to get a good understanding of something that's happening and allowing the people that are involved to have like a real uninterrupted voice about it, I think that's something I could be on board with. Yeah, that would add actual value and a lot better communication. Yeah, and not only that, sometimes it involves people that like I like them or I care about them, or like Wick, I consider Wick to be a friend. And if he does something bad, I'm gonna talk to him about the thing I think he did bad, but I just don't think it's fair if he doesn't get to have like a real voice about it, and it's just gonna be people dogpiling him. I don't want to see that either. Thank you, you guys. I appreciate that.
Universe we live in. The universe we live in has an imbalance of matter and antimatter. In fact, for every 100 million matter-antimatter particle pairs, there was one surplus matter particle without a counterpart. And it's a big, mysterious asymmetry. We don't know what caused that asymmetry. We have some ideas, but we don't know for sure. But there's an asymmetry, and all stars, galaxies, planets, gas clouds, light, everything you've ever thought of as a thing is made out of that 1 in 100 million particles that did not annihilate. And everything else is just light. And that light we see in part
I have to
as
sell
the
it.
cosmic microwave background in the universe.
You know, it's like a whew. You know, we got lucky. Or
there's 100 million other universes where different laws of physics unfold, and we could only be having this conversation in the universe for which that's true, which then doesn't make us lucky. It just makes it sort of the reality of the moment. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Try this experiment. And I encourage you, yes, do this at home. Yeah? Okay. Take a coin. Actually, this would be really hard to do at home, but it's not dangerous. Get 1,000 people, line them up. Then get 1,000 coins. Identical coins. Hand them the coins. Have them flip. Whoever gets tails, have them sit down. That'd be about half if it's a fair coin. So 500 people sit. The rest do it. Flip. The 250 people sit down. The rest flip. 120 sit down. The rest flip. 60 sit down. Boom. 30 sit down. 15 sit down. 8 sit down. 4 sit down. 2 sit down. We got 2 people left. They flip the coin. One gets the tails. One gets the head. One person is left after all of that. Okay? And they win a prize or something. And they ask that person, what do they have to do to win that contest? They have to flip a coin heads 10 consecutive times. And almost every time you do that experiment, somebody's going to flip a coin 10 consecutive times. Now, our human brains are not equipped, not trained to understand the statistics of that.
I know I want the
So
Punisher.
you know that's who all the cameras go to. And they say, well, how do you feel about this? And you know what the person will say? You know, I knew I was going to win about halfway through. I had those heads vibes. You know, I woke up this morning and I knew I'd be lucky. Now, of course, they're not interviewing the other people who felt the same way but lost. Okay? They're not interested in the interview because they didn't win the prize. And so the idea that you were chosen among others, it's hubris to suggest that the whole thing was special just for you.
This gun is good throughout the entire game because it can shoot through enemies. The TMP as well. It saves ammo big
I'm
time.
here to appeal to your sensibility that whatever is true in the universe, the history of our discovery tells us that we are just simply not special. And if you ever come to an idea that says we're special because we're lucky, you pause for a moment and look at the history of those thoughts and how wrong they have been. And then step lightly as you go forward.
Okay. Let's, it's very
So
similar.
if any journalists out there, the next time a person wins the lottery, go interview the people who didn't win and find out what lucky numbers they played, okay?
What happened just before the Big Bang?
You asked that. I said we have no clue.
And let me follow that up. What is wrong with the word before? Is this a question of when did time start, or just to deal with?
Oh,
No.
it just increases the
There's nothing
drop
wrong
rate. I
with
don't
it. We
need
just don't have any
that.
data. We just don't have any data. I don't mind going into negative time. I have no problem with that. I don't mind resetting where the 0 point is. Time is just, where you put the 0 is arbitrary, as it continues to be this day with calendars. We use a Christian calendar that's related to Jesus. Muslims got one related to Muhammad, and the Chinese have one, and I forgot who they dated that from. The Jews have, everybody's got a calendar with their starting point. And so the starting point is just where you want to put it. And so right now, a pretty good starting point is the Big Bang. We don't know how to put it earlier than that. But if the day comes where a whole new kind of understanding of the universe reveals to us before that, I don't have any problems pushing the 0 point back or just counting into negative years. I don't have any problems with that.
You have no problems with it, but is it something that we could one day look forward to finding the answer to, or do you think that there is some kind of barrier between the word before and the answer to the question?
I am undaunted by the limitations of words we use. Just because we date the beginning of time at the Big Bang does not prevent me
Wait, why didn't I sell those?
from thinking about before, even in the absence of data. I'm open to what could possibly be going on before the Big Bang, number one. Number two, right now we have no clue how to look there. We just don't. Do I think there's a forever barrier? That simply wouldn't be wise, given the history of science, about which I do a fair amount of study. And I take my cues from great thinkers of the past, some of whom believed they had hit a boundary, believed the end was right there in front of them. And then sure enough, a cleverer person than they comes along and says, you idiot, just sit down and get out of my way. There's a problem I'm solving. And they don't call them idiots, but it's a lesson in the belief that you happen to be alive at a time where we've reached the end of knowledge. That itself is hubris. That itself has the implicit assumption that you are smart enough to know that we've reached the end of knowledge. Admit the possibility that someone could be born after you who's cleverer than you, cleverer than me, who will solve all the problems that we are now scratching our heads over.
All right, I'll give you another one. Let's go to as far as you can see. So you look out that way, 13.7 billion light years, or that way, which way you want to look. And the question a lot of people wonder is, so what is on the other side of that horizon?
Horizon.
Cosmic horizon.
That's an excellent question. We don't know for sure, but we have very good reason to believe we do know it's there. And this is a little tricky to explain, but if you're with me out there, because like I can almost barely, I see like the front 2 rows and the rest is just, so I don't know if you're asleep.
Can't
by
go
now.
back to there.
Is the back row? It's the back row, okay. All right.
Oh.
I would count that as evidence that the horizon is in view. All right, you got to sort of bear with me for like 90 seconds. I think I can do it in 90 seconds.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
light does not travel at an infinitely fast speed. Travels 186,000 miles per second.
Oh. I carried a game like school. I like how the most passionate, earnest voice learner ended up being heard. Oh, wait. Hey, you guys are way past me. It's harder to see chat when I'm playing a game. Oh, nice words. Thank you. We did 30 flips, though? Oh my god. It's very weird. I went around 28 flips in. Actually, no strat to changing from... It doesn't really address the issue. He's talking about the measurement of time. He needs to adjust the metaphysics. About flipping the coin?
That's fast. But it's not infinite. It's so not
Hey.
infinite that you would be frustrated having a
Doug.
phone conversation with someone on the moon. Because the delay is 3 seconds. You would speak, and by the time they heard you reply to them, 3 seconds would have passed. It would not make a good phone conversation. That's how long it takes the light just to get to the moon. It takes 8 minutes, 20 seconds to get to the sun. It takes 100,000 years to cross the galaxy. It takes 1 billion years to get to the distant galaxies. 13.7 billion years to cross the known universe. It takes time.
Anybody else end up saving twice a lot? Or is that just me? Oh, for what became before the Big Bang? Well, he's saying he's open to it. I don't think he's espousing that he could know. See, that's the big issue with the Big Bang for me. So he's willing to adjust the calendar of the Big Bang, 1 to 0, and do some sort of adjustment. Yeah, I think that you can say that there was some kind of like cosmic explosion, more or less, to create our little slice of the universe. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that. This doesn't conflict with anything that I think or know about the universe. But to say that it created everything, I take issue with that big time. I don't think that everything existed in a single point. In like a singularity into which all things came from. It doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't line up with anything. Because if we're talking about that, then this would be like the sort of natural state that it seems to suggest that that's the natural state that the universe is in, and then this unnatural thing happens, causing like existence in like the universe. But and it's not really something that gets contended with the Big Bang, like, at all. Oh, no. Can't let him throw that. There we go. Yeah, it's kind of true that we can't know. Because that's just like what we can observe. I would be much more comfortable with the speculation that there was an event that we could call the Big Bang, I guess, that generated what we know to be the observable universe. But the idea that there's nothing out there that we can't observe is not just hubris. It's irrational to think that. that like we just must have the tools to see that all that is and ever was. That's dumb. It could very much just be that there's a lot of different ways in which that doesn't have to be the case. And I think that most of the time it's just not discussed because you can't really come up with a like solid position on it as to what that might have been. Because we don't have any way to like justify any like guesses that we might have. But I still think that we should just talk about the fact that the Big Bang isn't necessarily like the start of everything, which is just like an inappropriate frame to put it in. And then this gets like massively misunderstood by most people, and they sort of like work that into how they think everything works. And it sounds super contentious when I say like I don't believe in the Big Bang. What I should really say I don't believe in the Big Bang theory. Because people have this like very strong conviction that like this is just correct because that's what all the scientists are saying. But like the story that we tell about it, it really is just that. It's a story based on observations that seem to fit these observations, despite the fact that it has pretty reasonable holes in this story and like the kinds of things we would expect to see. Like the expansion seemed to slow down at one point. We don't really know why. We can't address why that the expansion of the universe slowed down and then began to speed up again. The cosmic background radiation both helps and hurts the case of the Big Bang. Damn it. Speaking of bangs, fuck these dynamite guys. Let's see here. Is there anything back here? There's nothing back here. Let's see. Do you know Brian Cox? He's a UK scientist in the BBC, kind of equivalent to Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he is pretty decent. Yeah, I know Brian Cox. I like him. He recently gave a statement. You're skeptical of the totality of the Big Bang Theory? Yeah, I'm mostly skeptical about the narrative that we put along with it, and the idea that it is as encompassing as we say it is. Certainly, something happened. We can see the effects that something occurred. But it would also be extremely disingenuous to just label the Big Bang Theory as like, well, that's just what we call this event. It's not. It's also the story that we attach to it. Brian Cox put out a thing recently that I think people have interpreted as saying the Big Bang, like that he's challenging the Big Bang. I'm not so sure that's what he's saying, but he also says like Big Bang in it in a really weird, conspicuous spot to where you can't tell if he's talking about the Big Bang or if he's just describing like a large like boom. It's very weird. But yeah, I think he's a fairly good physicist. I think that he does a good job at speaking publicly about physics too, which is, I think, one of the reasons why we value people like Neil deGrasse Tyson so much and people like Brian Cox is because being a scientist doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to talk to people about your shit very well. And it seems like oftentimes scientists aren't the most socially adept people. So I think it's probably pretty good that we value the ones that can, even if they're not going to end up being the best representatives we could hope for. No, don't you do it. Shit, he did it anyway. Reload. Come on. Oh god. Hate those things. He does work as a good communicator. We need to take these freaks to task on their free ride forcibility taken from our taxes. We just saw the Final Fantasy comment. That's pretty good. It's a collection of all the results, jumping to causality, then attaching grand narrative to creation. Yeah, that's another really big mistake too. The idea that you can attach a pre-physics driven system, because like the laws of physics don't exist before the Big Bang. There's no reason to think that they would. And then apply like a causal, like a cause and effect. What's the word? To just apply cause and effect to it, that doesn't necessarily make any sense, because the rules don't have to apply in like pre-Big Bang singularity. Very weird to me. Needs less physicists and more minds curing autism and diabetes. Yeah, but that's not fun. It's way more fun to talk about things to where you're just going to automatically be. I think for physicists, there's a certain drive to like end up being able to talk in front of a bunch of people, and like you're like kind of the smartest person in the room on the subject, so people can't question you. If I have a job that I'm gonna have for a long time, this is like crucial to me, because I don't want people being able to question the work that I'm doing, who's not like the customer. I don't like arguing with people about me essentially knowing how to do my job. So I make sure when I apply for jobs that I'm the person who's in the position who's going to tell other people what to do in that role. So like when I do cameras, I'm going to be the top camera guy for sure. See, there's no reason that a non-existent laws of physics had to evolve and form the laws of physics to both apply determinism as well as evolution of theories from non-theories. Wait, do you think physics is the biggest time waster? Because that's definitely not true. Just the most logical in the sense of the narrative. Logically, non-negative one had to go one. Sure. What about Michio Kaku? I love him. I really, really like him. So they were talking about Schwarzschild earlier, and I didn't know it, but like his like physicist origin story, I guess, more or less. Like when he did like a lot of his great thinking was really similar to Michio Kaku's. It surprised me. So like I got confused when they were talking, because they were both like in war, like in the middle of a war, dodging bullets and doing like oh shit, I didn't get everything for you. God damn it. They were doing like equations in their head and like crafting some of their like biggest career ideas while like in active combat. I thought that's really an interesting synchronicity for two physicists to have. You had a realization? Lay it on me. Physics are not productive. Those are called engineers. Yeah, but engineers are informed by physicists. Coke Zero tastes a bit buttery. Gross. But I get it. Warm Pepsi has a ketchupy aftertaste. And I think people think that's weird to hear me say. Oh, it was this. God damn it.
It is weird to hear you say, so don't ever say it again.
He said physicists should be more productive. Well, they are. They're doing like some of the hardest work there is, which is figuring this shit out, solving the problems. Right? Although, I guess, in theory, you could be a physicist your whole life and never actually accomplish anything. I don't know where to find the answer to these dial puzzles. And part of me wants to sit there and press the buttons until I get it, but I feel like I don't want to get it until I'm supposed to. Reminds you of pancake syrup. Is it a good thing or a bad thing for you? Oh, sure. Like, well, if by productive you mean people that produce stuff, sure. Physicists tend to produce information. Engineers produce, like, goods. I have the game audio turned down, because of the physics video. I don't want them to overlap. and make it hard to hear the video. That's kind of the trade-off in the Umbrella Academy streams. Game audio must suffer for the greater good.
All right. Put a pin in that fact. Another fact.
Oh, also Tuna. I don't know if you caught it or not. It was hard for me to like talk during the stream yesterday, but I did try to see if you wanted to come on yesterday, but I figured you were just busy. Oh, it's this. Oh, let me take a look at that again. Shit, will it not let me? Let's see. Any clue to them shapes here? Literally fucking none. Okay. Wait. That shit kind of look like some of them. It kind of looks like some of the shapes. Yeah. It wasn't specifically to give your take, but to rather to argue against some of the other people, because I know you're very good at it. Fair point. At the time, the room was getting pretty full. Yeah, eventually I had to kick people out because it was just it was getting untenable. Which is that you should always assume politics, the money is under the table, and if you're offended by that realization, you're redirecting your self-embarrassment on the other. That is true. However, I do think that people probably should be demanding of transparency whenever they can, but you just shouldn't be surprised when you don't get it, because that's sort of the nature of the game, right? Okay, so wait. What the fuck? I thought... Oh, yeah, I'm going here. I can't place a marker, can I? That's lame. Okay, so straight back. Plus, Wick is like an intentionally blank slate. I believe I understand where you're coming from, and if I do, then I would say I probably agree with you. I hope this is where I'm supposed to
The
go.
universe had a birthday 13.7 billion years ago. So imagine a universe that is in...
This platform was never about sending a message other than creating a platform for all messages to feed into a never-ending conversation. If his streams were for the social forever war of the uninformed, that's the content. Yeah, I agree with that. That's why he calls himself a centrist.
Now,
I think
put
that
yourself in the
informs
middle.
this
And I tell
approach.
you, this universe was born
Despite the fact that he's fairly left-leaning.
13.7 billion years ago. So, let's go out to the circle, to the sphere around us. Go to the spot that's 13.7 billion light years away. In other words, go to the spot where light from objects has taken 13.7 billion years to reach you. You're going to be watching that object.
Centrist, but the word center doesn't mean moderate. It means like center. He is a centrist, a public center. That's
Being
funny. That's the way to work it, for
because
sure.
its birth light is just now reaching you. Come in a little bit. You're going to see those in their toddler years. Come in a little, they're in the adolescence. Come in a little closer. Come to the present day, and you see everyone in their modern day maturity. So there's a limit to how far you can see in an infinite universe if the universe had a birth date and the speed of light is finite. Wait a billion years. Now the horizon is 14.7 billion light years away. Now you're seeing those galaxies get born. So the interesting
Big
thing
fishes
about
over
the
here.
universe in which we live, as long as there's galaxies that get overtaken by this expanding horizon, you will always bear witness to the birth of the universe, because somebody is always being born.
Yes.
The interesting part is if the signature of the Big Bang goes away. That would tell you that your horizon washed over a region of the universe where there are no more galaxies to show you their birthday clothes. That would tell you that you in fact reached the edge of the universe. Right now we can only tell you about the edge of our horizon, but that is an ever-expanding horizon that's still delivering up the signature of the Big Bang.
Is that a function of how well we can see and the tools we have to view, or is it a function of the fact that the space of our universe is expanding?
It's just the physics of the universe. While it's different physics, it's the same notion that if you're a ship at sea, your horizon is the same distance.
Well, yet I had no clue he was a centrist. From what I watched, everyone seemed to sit on other sides of the aisle. I wasn't very informed on the background, though. So Wick calls himself a centrist. I think that in this sense, what he tends to mean is that I am a reasonable lefty. I'm on the left, but I'm not going to have the I'm not going to be committed to batshit crazy takes that people on the left take in order to like pass all these purity tests and shit. That's how I interpret Wick's like leftism. Wait, no, I've been here too. Oh my god. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I have no idea where I'm supposed to go.
In every direction, and you can't see beyond the horizon. But you know the ocean continues. So in fact, if you moved a little closer in that direction, more of the ocean comes into view. So that's why we feel really confident that however big the universe is, it's bigger than our current horizon because we're watching the universe get born.
Are we also confident that we're
5 billion years ago, we could have watched the universe still being born. Who would have been being
I do have to see the
born
merchant.
5 billion years ago? The galaxy is 5 billion light years away.
What happens when the galaxies over there are really, really far away from the galaxies over there? So if you
Everybody's got their own horizon. So we are on the edge of a galaxy's horizon 13.7 billion light years in that direction. They see us, our light, from 13.7 billion years.
Wait, tries to with me jump into call or something for if we need to touch on random bits of the video rather than text. Otherwise, we don't really need to do a super amount of commentary on it. Completely up to you. So the best rule of thumb for that is say it in text, and if I have a hard time engaging with it being on the other side, with the other side of it just being in text, I'll say hop in a call. And if somebody's being really egregious, like Raul was the other day, if anybody like comes in here and stirs shit, but they won't actually like flesh out what they're saying, if they're just being contrarian, that's when I'll be like, hop into Discord and argue your point, or shut up. Yeah, I want that. Pardon. Here we go. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Laser sight, let's go. Now that I have laser sight, I'm gonna tweak my controls. I need the aiming to be way slower. I'm used to mouse and keyboard aiming. This is fucking whack. That's still so fast. Okay, so this needs to go up, but aiming is good. Okay, yeah, I can turn the camera fast enough now. That's good. Let's see here. I was thinking of that as my original idea. Actually, it took me a lot of text to make a point mostly. I think this is the easiest setup, especially first-person shooter. Well, third, but yeah, same thing. Only legitimate psychopaths would prefer control over mouse and keyboard. True. The only reason I'm playing mouse and or with a controller here is because the nostalgia factor for Resident Evil 4 is so high to me that I just want to be able to fully engage with that part of it. And with mouse and keyboard, I think I would lose that element of it. See, I don't get this. I'm blocked off from here. I know I have to go back to the church. I know that I do. Oh. Wait, do I go on to here and then go up here? That's to the fish farm. I feel like I'm just not getting something here. Did you get my message about splitting a Discord bot? Not to nag? No, I didn't actually. Let me check. Let me take a look real quick.
Ago is only just now reaching them. So they see us going through the birth of the Big Bang. We are their Big Bang signature right now.
I have so many DMs from just yesterday.
Just like
oh my
every ship
God.
at sea has its own horizon around it.
I do get the sense, though, that physicists have now
I'm
developed a
screaming at
kind
you. I'm
of...
sorry. Is that I'm screaming at the microphone.
No, it's okay.
What happened here?
That physicists... There's a...
Oh yeah, the last message I got from you was from like January 23rd. If you had nostalgia though, that's what I'm saying. Oh yeah. That is the only reason that I am. Okay, yeah, hit me up for it. Oh, that is cool, Tuna. Oh, so I can give you an answer after the canvassing in Ohio. I'll have to look at my funds after that, and then I'll let you know what I got. By the way, Tuna, any chance that you're gonna be in Ohio this weekend? I'm gonna be in Ohio this weekend. Are you checking to have us in the link for the vid? Also check the link for the vid time code we're at. Damn. Well, I didn't know if you'd be there for any other reasons. Oh, what do I see? Oh, I'll just flash one. 211. I guess it's been 210 there. Damn. Well, yeah, I saw. Well, I think I'm gonna be there on Sunday. If you happen to be around Sunday, hit me up. I understand. I feel that. The length of the video was 2 hours and 10 minutes when you said that, I believe. 30. Oh man. I bet you that gotta be a nightmare scenario, dude. Hell yeah, brother. I'm really excited. I get to meet Will in real life. Wick. I think Erudite messaged me too to see if I was going. So I'm assuming she's gonna be there. But not confirmed. So how much do we have? Oh, that video! I'm so stupid. Thought you meant my stream. A lot. It's like an hour 10.
It's a kind of neighbor...
Yeah, dude, for real.
thing beginning to develop.
There's quite a few people that I know I gotta link up with.
If I were on a Galaxy 37, through 13, whatever it was.
You didn't say a
0.7,
galaxy far, far away.
Galaxy
Thank you.
far,
You gotta get
far away in
TG
that
cheers
direction.
together.
I would have no information about a galaxy equally far in the, from Earth, in the other direction, because it would be too great a distance from there to here.
Yeah, another way to say what I just said is, go to the 13.7 billion year galaxy. We come
Let's
to
check
us.
this one out.
We are being born to them. The galaxy 1 billion light years there, its birth
Wait,
light has not yet reached that galaxy. So it doesn't know anything about the stuff to my right.
that's where I need to go.
But wait another billion years, enough time has passed so that that galaxy's information has reached.
So I used to think that the word universe meant the whole thing, and that there was only one.
We
of
have to
them.
specify, there's the observable universe, and then there's the universe that the observable universe is, the light cone is expanding into.
Oops.
Yeah, so often when we say, how big is the universe, we're giving you the observable universe. How many stars in the universe? 10 to the 21 stars, a sextillion stars. That's in the observable universe.
There is.
When in doubt, assume observable universe.
All right. But
Yeah, that's another really
my
misleading
use
thing
of
too.
the
I'm
word
glad he brought that
universe
up.
used to mean everything that there is, which seems to be different from everything that one could know, see, touch, feel, learn about. So that the is may be bigger than the know. Certainly the folks all the way over there can't know about the folks all the way over there.
That is a good joke.
Correct.
So why do physicists now
Oh yeah, Game Pass is
talk about
the best
universe
value in
sense?
gaming.
Are they
Oh.
saying that
Second only to Super Mario Maker 2. It is infinite content, actually infinite content for $60 flat rate. But yeah, Game Pass is nuts.
the folks who cannot know about the folks over there are in a categorically different place because there is no information from there going to there? Are they
I'm
in a
talking
different...
about a whole other zone where it is likely that the laws of physics themselves are different, however slightly, from the laws of physics in this universe. The multiverse prescribes the fact that you would have variations in the laws of physics among the universes. That's the example with the coin. We are speaking from a universe where the laws of physics allow life.
Let me ask you this more
So are we
precisely.
special, or are we just the person who flipped heads 10 times?
When you use the word universe in the plural, when you say universe says, are you thinking of distinctly
Yes.
isolated
Yes.
neighborhoods
Yes.
in a common place?
No. No.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking
So-
of distinct. We all share the same laws of physics, even the ones outside your horizon.
So
we are family.
We are family. So the gravity exists for all of us.
Yes.
Entropy exists for all of
Yes.
us. Strong forces, weak forces, electromagnetism for all of us.
Yes.
There's an elementary table that exists for all of us in this
Table of elements. Yeah.
table of elements. But so then, and then around us, beyond us, there is a place where you might go and have all the rules different.
Yes.
Even the rules of physics. Even the
No,
rules.
that is what would be different. Everything issues forth from the laws of physics. Now, what that means
Why
is...
do you need
Wait,
this?
what that means is you don't want to be the first explorer in this other universe, okay? because you know, you're kind of held together by these laws of physics. And if the charge on the electron were just slightly different, you could explode or implode, or you want to send the probe,
What's up, lady?
test probe first. Then you come later,
Okay.
just so you know, in case it ever comes out.
Oh,
Why would any intelligent person need to conjure up a place, a big, expansive place, where the rules, the basic rules, are different? Why does...
you would agree. There's just Celeste mods instead for me. Oh my god, dude! There's Celeste 64. Have you played it? I think Celeste deserves to have what Mario 2 Maker 2 has. It's so sad she didn't make a level maker. Imagine that move set in Mario Maker 2. Yeah, I know, dude. I would love it. Fuck. I think he might have actually left this time, but I'll have to remind him about Celeste 64 when he comes back.
Does anyone talk about that? In my ordinary life, going, having breakfast, going to work, coming back home, it just never comes up. No one ever asks me about other universes and other rules of engagement. I'm kind of content to know that, as barely I can make them out, the rules that Einstein and his crowd sort of feel, well, they fit, and I'm okay with that. Why is there this need for a non-fitting set of places?
I don't think of it as a need. I think of it as
So confused.
the urge to understand your place in the universe. And that urge crosses cultures and has existed throughout time. It's just that the scale is different. Why is this question different from sitting there in the cave, chewing on uncooked meat, looking across the valley and saying, I wonder what's on the other side of that valley? I want to try to find out. But your counterpart back then would say, why do you need to know that? You got your, pterodactyl leg or whatever you're chewing on. It wouldn't have been pterodactyl. You got your saber-toothed tiger leg, and because you just lost your friend, in the tar pit. And you're saying, I got my food, I got my crib. What do I need to look on the other side of the valley? But then you find on the other side of the valley, there's water and fruit and fire and stuff that you can use. You don't know how to use it yet. You figure out how to use it. Okay? So, the frontier of human exploration has always delivered dividends on who and what we are in the lives we lead. And some deliver more dividends than others. Now, you might think, another universe with different laws of physics, how could that possibly relate? And right now, I don't know how that could relate. I'm not going to pretend to have a whole list of how I'm going to invoke it tomorrow, but I look at the history of science, the history of discovery.
Oh, I didn't know that
and I will
PlayStation
not
was getting
deny
Sea of Thieves and
our
Starfield.
species
Huh.
the privilege, if not the obligation, to look beyond whatever is your perceived horizon of the moment.
Does anybody really, really like Sea of Thieves? I tried it out. It seemed okay. It didn't really hold me, but I also didn't have play with a bunch of people. Starfield seemed like it was going to be good, and then it seems like it turned out to be not, from my understanding. They better patch it up before they move it over to platform, I think.
And by the way, we live in a wealthy nation, and wealthy nations, it's kind of, that duty falls on them because they don't have to worry about where the next meal is coming from. They have enough money to sort of pay everything out and save a little bit for that exploration. I'm proud and privileged to be part of a species that has people that want to do that. I joke with people who climb mountains and put their lives at risk, but that soul of exploration is what creates the urge to want to know what these other universes are like.
Well, let me go from a question of wealth, which is asking too many questions, to the utter poverty of one of the chapters of your book. In 20 chapters, you say, you know what? We don't know when we look up in the night sky and we see stuff, and we look down at our shoes and at wood and at glass, and we see stuff, and we look at the stars and we see that stuff and the galaxies and that stuff turns out to be a little of what's in the universe, but not most, not much.
It's 4% of the total universe. Everything you know and love is 4% of the total universe.
When did
all matter and all energy that you know and love, all the photons of light, all the particles of matter, when you add it all up, it's 4% of the total energy budget of the universe.
That's sad.
Are you sad that it's that little, or are you sad that we have no clue what the other 96% is? Which of those two facts makes you sad?
Well, the book consistently makes the case for how dumb, uninformed, and in the dark we are, and this pretty well clinches the argument. If that much of everything is missing and comes with no explanation, and yet is plainly, apparently doing things, I mean, the reason that galaxies seems to hold their shape is because there's this invisible stuff that makes them do so.
Dark matter, for lack of a better word. We don't know what it is. It's a source of gravity whose origin we have no clue. Dark matter. So we call it dark matter. We don't even know if it's matter. But it's a source of gravity that exhibits itself in the cosmos. There's 6 times as much of that as there is ordinary.
Okay, so I have no idea how I'm supposed to figure out what that pattern is. I guess the things I'm stuck on is this place and this place. But I don't know where I'm supposed to find out the information for it. I can't go anywhere unless I open up one of those 2 doors. So I guess I'm just going to have to fuck with it. Unless I got the information and then forgot. It was like just not something that's going to be stored. Like the game's going to track and show me again later from when I played last, which has been a while. I have no way of really figuring this out. I guess I could take a look around Chicken Island again real quick. Just to make sure there's not like a clue over here. My inventory was pretty full, so I didn't try to spend a lot of time looking at everything over here, but I don't see anything. I'm stumped.
Matter.
Those are like the only two places. I've been going everywhere.
That was our first encounter with total stupid ignorance. Then, 10 years ago, or 1998, it was published in 1998, we discovered 70% of the rest of the universe is this mysterious pressure operating opposite that of gravity that's making the expansion of the universe accelerate. We don't know what that is either. We call it dark energy. So you have dark matter and dark energy combined make up 97% of what's going on in the universe. We have no clue what either of those is composed of.
So on another term,
No, wait. Now, we're not as stupid as that might sound. We're not inventing sort of angels on the head of a pin. This is not the case of the ether in the 19th century, where we knew waves had to go through a medium. Sound moves through air and through solid objects. Light is a wave. Space must have some medium out there. Let's call it the ether. The ether was an invention. There was no evidence for the ether. It was an assumption. And then it went away when we found out light doesn't need a medium in which to vibrate. It can travel through empty space just fine. We call that nothing. Okay. Now, turns out, dark matter and dark energy, we measure it. It's there. We're not inventing a concept. These are just words. They're placeholder words. There is this entity that has gravity, and we don't know what's causing it. But we know where it is, we know how much gravity it exhibits. The acceleration of the universe, we can measure its effect on the expanding fabric of the cosmos. We don't know what's doing it. So we're better off than the ether people.
I'm going to switch gears because the first half of the book does definitely impress you with how little we know, even though it starts with all these guys in the 1880s saying, we know everything, it's all over, the end of science, we're fine. And then you read and you read and you think, we know less, we know less, we know less. And then we get to the subject of life, and then you turn sort of buoyant in this book. I'm not sure why, but let's go do it. The question here is, why is there life?
Buoyant. Life is a
and
buoyant.
then, are we alone? So let's just do this in order. Why do you think there are living things? There is absolutely no necessity for dust to aggregate and become vital, not less, let alone think. Do we know why we have life? I guess not. But
Why? Allow me to address that.
yes.
If you look at the chemical ingredients of life itself,
Look, it's President's Sunday. Talking with NDT? Who the fuck is NDT? Also, wow, welcome back. Oh, Tuna, did you see the thing I tagged you in my Discord server? Oh, Neil deGrasse says, yeah, I get it. I get the joke now. Did you see that there's the creator of Celeste made a 64 inspired version of Celeste 64? It's so good, and it's free. It is a 3D Nintendo 64 graphics style Celeste. Oh, I didn't have to do that combination. And it's so fun. Yes. I have it downloaded and I'm playing it live. Oh, that's so funny. I really liked it. I just sort of forced myself to take a break because I had a stream coming up. But I got to like 12 strawberries, I think. Oh, this is really fun. Absolutely in love with it. I think Elkenstein in my chat. He's the one who put it in my Discord. I was like, dog, no fucking way. It was a huge deal to me. And I just played my next game is it. Then I'm gonna play Persona 3 Reloaded. So I decided I got this game called Boxes. It's the sequel to the Room series of games, which are just like straight up puzzle games. I never played The Room before, but Boxes looked graphically nice. And I was like, I'll check it out, and I loved it. So I went through and I started playing The Room. I beat The Room 1, and I'm halfway through number 2. They're solid games. If you like puzzle games, they're great. Celeste is the only game you've replayed and beaten over 3 times. Yeah, it's like my go-to game on the Switch if I'm like traveling. It never gets old.
You remember from biology class, we're mostly water. And good old water is H2O. 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. And if you could look at the sort of the element budget of life, hydrogen is number 1, as expressed in the water molecule. The number 2 in the human body is oxygen, turns out. Number 3 in the human body is carbon. 4 is nitrogen. 5, you find on all lists, is other. Okay, now if you go to the universe, that's the O on the periodic table. You didn't know that? That's not for oxygen, it's for other. So you go into the universe, number 1 ingredient in the universe is hydrogen. That was true in life. Number 2 ingredient in the universe is helium. We don't have that one.
It doesn't like
But
anybody.
now, how come? Well, because helium is chemically inert. You can't do anything with it even if you wanted. You can inhale it, okay? And sound like Mickey Mouse, yes. Next in the universe is oxygen. Next, carbon. Next, other. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice. I like
So,
that.
Actually, that was the second row. They must be related to the second row here. We are 1-for-1 matchup with the most abundant ingredients in the universe. Of these, carbon is the most chemically fertile element in the entire periodic table.
Is that
You
it?
can make more kinds of molecules with carbon than all other molecules combined.
I don't remember what I did.
So, if you were going to experiment through the forces of nature with complex chemistry, and you had to pick an element to base it on, carbon is your man. Or your woman, however that goes. Okay? So, what I'm saying is, given what carbon is capable of doing,
No, I mean, they're different.
perhaps we shouldn't be so surprised that there's life, because we are carbon-based life. We're just another one of the things carbon has rolled up its sleeve.
Oh, wait, I'm doing this wrong.
Maybe life is inevitable, given the abundance of carbon and oxygen and nitrogen and hydrogen in the universe. Try to
Yeah,
invert
sure
that
will
view.
do. Nice talking to you,
Otherwise,
buddy.
you're left thinking, hey, we're special.
Doing this wrong again.
You know I would give you right to say you're special? If life on Earth were made of an isotope of bismuth. That stuff is nowhere in the cosmos, and then we're made of it, we're special. Okay? But if we're the most common ingredients of the matter that we know and love, you don't have an argument.
Let me just make sure I understand what you're saying. I don't know that everybody in this room or everyone in the world would think that life is merely an aggregate of the right chemicals in the right order, all holding hands in the right way. You get your carbon, you get your oxygen, you get your nitrogen, you get your hydrogen, and you put it all in the right way, and bing, up comes a little cell, and then you get
Too big of a claim, maybe life
and
is
then you get a you.
inevitable. I don't think you can say solidly, other than because that's how we observe it in the world now. Yeah, that's fair. I think scientists tend to speak in terms of certainty about things that we have only observed. Which there is utility in doing that. This is sort of where like science and philosophy like butt heads.
It may be. Is that your view? That the world is pregnant with life because all life is a chemical machine arranged in some lucky way. You don't even like the word lucky. In some...
Yeah, was the guy lucky?
Yeah, never mind.
Okay. I thought we got through that.
Yeah, okay. We did. Is that right? That's your view? That you
I'd
don't
rather
need-
say it a different way.
Okay.
I'd rather say that given the chemical fertility of carbon and the abundance of all the ingredients in the universe that is fundamental to life as we know it, I'm not given any reason to doubt that the formation of life from out of chemical soups brewing either in our solar system or across the galaxy or the cosmos itself, I'm not given reason to believe that that should be a rare phenomenon.
Your friends of life in the book are, you like liquid, because
Wait.
liquid just seems to
Life
slide.
as we know it.
Life as we know it, sorry. Carbon, I guess planets with hard surfaces would be good, something like a rock occasionally. I mean, maybe you could have
I
life-
don't know. We just recently learned that most of the biomass of life on Earth is probably living beneath Earth's surface, in the nooks and cracks and crannies of Earth's crust, where the number of ways and places to live vastly exceeds the number of niches that exist on Earth's surface.
At least they're rocks. I mean,
So,
if I took you-
what I'm saying is,
God, that scared
to say
me.
you need a surface, I don't know
Not
that you
a
need a
surface. I just maybe, if you're going to be in Saturn, you're just kind of dealing with a cloud. Maybe you could grow in a cloud, but at least if you have a rock or
Wait.
something.
Do
We'll be right
fish
back.
care that there's a surface?
I need a Q-tip.
No, because they're swimming through a liquid. They're swimming through a fluid. They don't care. Fish don't go down to the ground and hang out unless you're a catfish. Okay? They're swimming. So why can't there be swimming life in the atmosphere, in the gaseous atmospheres of the Jovian planets? There's nothing in principle that should prevent that any more than life swimming in the ocean is prevented just because you think we need a surface to live on.
All right, let me just ask you about your, because here you seem to be on the joyous side. If I ask
Buoyant
you-
was your earlier
Buoyant, yes.
adjective.
Well, because that was too fishy for me.
No.
Do you think that life
No.
is
I could hear it.
a really, I mean, obviously you think it's likely, let me ask it this way. Do you think because of what we have all learned, say, in the last 10 or 15 years, there's Titan and some of the other, maybe Europa,
The
maybe
moons of the outer
Mars,
planets.
maybe moons.
All right. I was trying to get a Q-tip and I could hear myself getting hit.
all over now a more promising bet to you, do you think, or about the same?
Oh, the likelihood, the prevalence of life in the galaxy, if you can quantify that somehow, I don't know how to quantify it just yet, but imagine that's a quantifiable entity. The prevalence of life that we presume to be out there, the stock in the prevalence of life has gone up in the
Why?
past 10 or 15 years.
Why?
Because, for me, the best argument for upping that stock value is the following. I don't know the
That's
age
much
of everyone
better.
in the audience, but I would bet that when you took biology class and you learned the age of the Earth 4.5 billion years ago, that's if you took biology in a school where that's taught. Okay, 4.5 billion years. And then you look at the earliest evidence for life, fossil evidence of life on Earth. Then you get about 3.5 billion years. Subtract those two numbers, get the difference between those two numbers, and that's the time clock from beginning to the first evidence for life. Okay?
So the
So,
first,
so that was about 1 billion years out of the 4.5 billion years that Earth has been here. So that's pretty quick. It happened in like the first 20% of the life of the planet.
Oh, yeah, I know.
and the first
pretty bummed out about it.
20% was pretty rough. There was a
Wait, no, hold, dip. Hold on.
Okay.
Now, since the time we all took biology,
It would have been nice if somebody
we
could
have
have
learned, we
intervened
have
there.
found fossil evidence.
But I think I still keep everything. Check. What? No, I didn't keep it. God
of
damn it.
life farther back in time than 3.5 billion years. It now goes back to 3.8. There's some evidence it might even reach 3.9. So we have shrunken the time available for life to have formed on this Earth. That makes it more likely. If the faster life kicks in from a pool of just random chemicals, not random, they're the chemicals of the universe, the faster that happens, the more confidence I have that life is something that would happen just given the right soup and soup starter, okay?
I don't remember what the combination was. I think it might have been
we
this
then
one.
learned when computers got good, better than they once were when we were in school as kids, that the early universe, the early solar system didn't just simply make the sun and the planets. There was debris all scattered in interplanetary space. And that debris slowly got vacuumed up by the gravity of the respective planets. That would not have been a pleasant occasion on the surface of those planets. Because to vacuum it up simply means you're getting slammed by the kind of asteroid that took out the dinosaurs, except you're getting that monthly. And you can calculate what the temperature of Earth's surface would have been. And it would have been higher than what would allow complex molecules to form. Because at high temperatures, you break apart molecules. So, what our computer models show is that this period of bombardment, period of heavy bombardment is the official phrasing, lasted 600 million years. So it's not fair to start the life clock at 4.5 billion years ago, because life had no chance of forming when the surface of the Earth is molten. Wait for things to cool down. When there's a chance that carbon can run its magic, then you start the clock. Now you're going from 4 billion years ago into 3.8 billion years. And you have pinched the time it takes to start life down to 200 million years, down from a billion years that was imagined just a generation ago. And that is further evidence that practically the earliest life could have formed, it did. So just because we find it hard to do in the laboratory doesn't mean nature found it hard to do as well. And the idea that it's hard for nature to do because we can't figure out how to do it yet, that itself is an inexcusable expression of human ego.
All right, let me finish the thought. Row 2 seems to like life. Okay. What about, just to finish it off, intelligence?
We're not finished yet, are we? We finished?
No.
Oh.
I know. I'm just coming to the last page here. Last page. Intelligence. Intelligence.
Oh, I see.
Now, it's one thing to say, okay, meteor is coming in, much too hot to do anything.
What that was. I didn't know what that was.
That was the.
You said intelligence. Let's say, where's he going with that? I don't know what that is.
That was the soundscape of early Earth.
Okay.
I do this one.
So you have this meteor bombardment, which you just got in stereo, and then, as soon as possible, life starts. Now comes the amazing thing. Somehow, these atoms come, and then the molecules come, and then the molecules gather, and then they somehow get a little window around them or something, and they start conjoining, and then they make fish and stuff. And then one day, somebody, one of these life forms says, hello, or something to that effect. So the hello,
I remember what I did.
That's an interesting moment. Do you think that there has been one hello in the history of all things? This isn't a gut question.
On Earth or in the universe?
In the universe. Or, in other words, that this is an
Okay, I did just do
unbelievably
that.
unusual accident, that atoms would start thinking about themselves? Or do you think it could happen, has happened, may happen over and over again?
It is a pretty cool thing that the universe
Then maybe it was with this.
has conditions that allows it to create matter
Hate this.
that then contemplates the conditions out of which that matter formed.
Yeah. I would sometimes think that a physicist are the atom's way of admiring themselves.
Yes.
God damn it! I didn't mean to do that.
So, now, as you correctly surmised, many places in the book, I try to keep people honest about our self-assessment on Earth, among all creatures on Earth, and in the universe. There's a very, very noble tradition of this. It's known as the Copernican principle, where just when you thought you were special, you're probably not, so get over it, okay? That's the paraphrased version of the Copernican principle. So, you asked me
Jesus.
about intelligence. presupposing that we, as human beings, are intelligent. Well, of course, we define the word that way. So we assert that we are intelligent. But let me offer you a perspective that might force you to take pause on that assumption.
Neat.
What I'm about to say is, in fact, not in the book, but will appear
Oh,
in an
shit.
essay I just finished for Natural History magazine, which is the source of essentially all the material for this book, where I've been writing a column for the past 10 years.
Oh,
But
don't drop
the
anything.
April essay, for me, will be my 100th essay for Natural History magazine. And the editor granted me free reign to just say whatever the hell I want. And so in there, the title of that essay is called The Cosmic Perspective. And it is an assessment of our place in the cosmos. And let me offer you one of those perspectives, okay?
Now I know where I'm going.
Let us for the moment
I assume
Assert.
Destiny's going to be in Ohio.
that we are the only intelligent species that Earth has ever seen. That's not much of a stretch. Yes, whales are probably smart, but they don't have opposable thumbs, so they can't build stuff, all right? So we can do things with our intelligence that other possibly intelligent creatures cannot. So we can construct a list of what it takes to be intelligent for which we are the only satisfiers of those conditions. So let's assume we've just done that. Okay. All right. Now, here's a thought that keeps me awake at night. Let us look at the closest genetic relative to human beings. That would be the chimpanzee.
The orangutan.
Is that right? The orangutan?
I don't want to quibble.
Is it the orangutan?
The second row will answer. I don't know.
Second? No, I'm almost certain it's the
I think
chimpanzee.
it's the orangutan, but maybe it's... Anyway, let's make it a chimpanzee.
Well, what's kind of interesting there is that we and the other great
Condor one to roost. I found the key to the church.
Copy that. Now go get baby eagle.
apes, the chimpanzee, the orangutan, and the gorilla, are closer to each other genetically than any one of us is.
Okay,
to
now I know where I'm
monkeys,
going.
Those with tails. All the great apes have no tail. Last you checked, you will confirm this. But be careful as you ask the gorilla to show his rear end to you. But you can just believe it. The gorilla has no tail. So it won't, what I'm about to say, it won't matter which of these you choose. I'm choosing the chimpanzee because it's traditionally considered our closest relative. And if you look at the genetic code, it's nearly all identical, except for maybe 1.5%. And that's even been debated. It might be 5%. But that actual number doesn't matter from what I'm about to say.
Okay.
All that
No,
you
wait,
care about
I'm going the wrong
is
way.
that that's our closest genetic relative. Okay?
Okay, get back to the boat.
Can you imagine teaching trigonometry to a chimpanzee?
No.
No. Okay. Can you imagine teaching the multiplication table to a chimpanzee?
I can imagine trying, but I don't
Trying.
expect... Yeah.
They're not going to get it. Long division.
No.
Okay. Now,
I had...
you what?
never mind.
Okay. So,
It'd be weird if Destiny wasn't in Ohio, to be honest.
yet that's our
for the
closest relative.
event.
If that's our closest relative, and it can't learn the times table, maybe the difference in our intelligence is not as big as we think. Let's do the following experiment. Imagine a creature with the same increment in intelligence above us that we are compared with the chimpanzee. That
Yeah, I've seen a
increment in
clip of this.
intelligence would only be represented by a small difference in DNA. But imagine that intelligence. That would be extraordinary. To them, their toddlers would be intuiting calculus, while our toddlers are learning their ABCs watching Sesame Street. Calculus would be self-evident to their toddlers. By the time they're in their teens, they'd be looking at Isaac Newton and Galileo and Copernicus and Einstein as drooling, doddering fools. the way we look at chimpanzees that figured out how to put a stick in the termite mound to pull out the termites. So maybe this measure of our intelligence is actually not that great, but we've made it great in our own measure of ourselves just to distinguish us from the rest of the animal kingdom. But it's not hard to imagine the same small genetic difference above us, and we would just be their slaves, okay? We would have no power over them whatsoever, because their most trivial of thoughts would be the greatest thoughts our greatest thinkers were ever capable of. And
Wait, don't get so impressed. Let him bring these people to life first.
all I'm saying is, why aren't we thinking about that level of intelligence rather than basking in the fact that it takes us 20 years to learn calculus?
Because they don't exist. As
Doesn't
best
stop
we
you.
know.
You asked me about other intelligent creatures in the universe. You started this by asking me that. And I'm saying that imagine on this planet another branch of primates with a similar difference to us that we have today. That's not hard to imagine.
But you wouldn't
We got the
let-
primate
wait,
family
You
already.
wouldn't let me. When we started this, you wouldn't let me imagine anything before the beginning. We were doing physics. You wouldn't let me imagine anything. Suddenly, we're doing biology. You're imagining.
Well, we got no
imagining.
data there.
Well, what data do you
I
have?
can extrapolate very easily.
Oh.
That's not a tough. Is that a tough extrapolation to make? Am I out of left field here? Isn't this a curious thought? Isn't it a spooky thought?
Is going backwards from year one such a terrible extrapolation? Can't you go backwards from year one? He doesn't want to go backwards from year one. But we started to do it with apes. Anyway.
Just imagine the ape family, and we're just there, one of the ones in someone else's zoo, as they chuckle at the cute things our Einsteins and Stephen Hawkings do. In fact, imagine those toddlers.
Why are we imagining
I
this?
got this. Wait. Imagine their toddlers coming home from school, and then the parents saying, "Oh, isn't that right? You composed another 7 symphonies today in your 2nd grade class. Let me tack it to the refrigerator for when Dad comes home." And oh, is this? Oh, how quaint. You just solved the unified field theorem, as in 3rd grade. Okay, we'll put that on the refrigerator door too, so that when our friends come over, they could be impressed that you're doing basic math.
Am I to assume that we are enjoying this particular colloquy because you believe
Colloquy, is that?
Colloquy, that is conversation, this little new thing that we're talking about, which is a bit
Why don't you
mysterious
just say conversation?
to me. Okay. That we're having this conversation because you believe that a small change in DNA, not unlike the difference between us and
It's not because I
chimpanzees-
believe it is. It already is that way between us and chimps. It's not like some belief system. I'm just handing you increments to try to keep us honest about how we think about ourselves in this universe.
But I asked you, what are your feelings about the possibility of other examples of intelligent life? And you're answering, well, I can think of something more intelligent than us. I said, okay, but what about as intelligent or even intelligent or not like a rock? Or not like a fish, a dumb fish.
It may be that intelligence is rare in the cosmos. Intelligence as we have defined it. Because if you look at the fossil record, you look at the portfolio of life that has lived and thrived on Earth, there are a lot of features of life that many different species have in common. For example, locomotion is a pretty common talent. In fact, we have creatures on Earth with no arms and no legs, and they still manage to move. We call them snakes, okay? So locomotion, they figured out how to move even though they don't have arms and legs. Trees haven't yet figured out how to move, except in The Wizard of Oz. But what we have is evidence of features in life that apparently are really good for survival. The capacity to receive.
What's the event I'm going to? The difficulty is Celeste 64. It's like on par with Celeste. There's a bit of a curve getting used to the additional dimensions. Once you find your like the proper angles that you want to look at when you're attempting stuff, it's about as hard as Celeste, I would say. It feels just like I'm playing Celeste for the first time over again. I love it. Oh, that was just for selling? Oh, damn. The event is Progressive Victory. I don't know the name of it. It's like a DGG Progressive Victory project that they're working on together where we're going to Cincinnati, Ohio to canvass to get people signed up to register to vote. I thought that I'd solve that and it would open up the way to get back in all this. Now I feel so lost again. I hate this. Why can't I just know where the hell I'm supposed to go? This isn't laid out anywhere, right? No? Okay. Christ.
Give information at a distance. That would be the smell, hearing, sight. Sight is a very common feature in animals. In fact, there are certain expressions of sight that happen independently of each other. That's how valuable this was as a tool for survival. The fly eye has nothing whatever in common with the vertebrate eye, itself having nothing whatever in common with the octopus eye. Yet they are all eyes and they all see. Let's look at intelligence. Intelligence, as we have defined it, has shown up nowhere in the fossil record, which tells me that intelligence can't be all that important for survival. Otherwise, it would have been there in the fossil records. It would have been there manifested multiple times throughout life. But it's not. In fact, you can continue this to its extreme and say it may be that
Backtrack all the way back.
is just the right thing to have to render yourself extinct. Thereby cutting off your gene pool from the rest of what would ever happen in your lineage.
Wait, this is getting sort of sad all of a sudden.
No.
Because it sounds like now you're conceding maybe mind or intelligent life is a rare thing and maybe a self-destructive thing and maybe an unnecessary to procreate and thrive thing, and therefore we may not find many of them.
There's a fascinating idea, which is a little bit of a stretch, but I want to share it with you. And forgive me, I forgot who the original proponent of this idea is. It is not mine. The question is, if there's intelligent life everywhere, vastly more intelligent than we, presumably they might have figured out how to travel through the galaxy and get wormholes, whatever. And why aren't they here? Why haven't they visited us? Why haven't they taken over the galaxy?
Well, row
Fermi paradox.
Row 2, yeah, it's sitting in row 2. So one argument is that the very behavior trait that would have you want to acquire territory is intrinsically self-destructive. Because to want to say, I want to put my people in more places in the galaxy, well, if that's the attitude your species has, then other people that you put there are going to have that very same attitude. And they're going to want to do what you're doing. Everybody's going to want to do what you're doing. And you know what happens? You're going to end up fighting about it.
Well, it's a big place.
No, you're going to end up fighting about it. That's what they said about the Earth. It's a big place. Said that 600 years ago. It's a big place. No, it's a small place. If you've got ways to get there quickly and efficiently, it's a small place. And so it may be that the very character trait that would have you take over the galaxy and visit every planet is the one that would prevent you from getting there because you would have killed each other in the act of trying to make that happen. So that trait is self-limiting. That's a fascinating bit of sociology, I think.
Hey, you were the pro-life people, now you're there. I guess we're all going to be dead people.
Now, why did only this half of the room applaud to
I
that?
don't know.
I don't know. No.
All right, let me ask one last question. There are a group of people, there are two groups really. There's one group of people that strike me as kind of poetic and I find them interesting. These are people, they're physicists, many of them, who say that there is something so special about the universe and us being here that they can't quite escape the idea that somehow the universe, a fundament of the universe would be to have the rules of physics, to have gravity and the properties of quarks and atoms and stuff, and to have something called ultimately mind. That mind is somehow written into the code of the universe. Maybe because
Mind, as in
as an intelligence, so that when you have a universe, what you are inevitably going to get is something that can appreciate the thing that it is in. And this is called the anthropic principle, broadly speaking. And I wonder, I assume you're very hostile to this notion, but I wonder if you have any.
What was the universe saying before we were around, which was not long ago?
It was
back
saying-
when dinosaurs were ruling the world.
It was
what,
saying-
what would this philosophy have said?
We're waiting for the people to have a mind.
Well, that seems to me to be an extraordinarily inefficient universe if it takes 13.7 billion years to produce us. That's just really inefficient if its point is to produce us. Why didn't it happen like immediately? After the 200 million years of the big pop, there we are, appreciating the formation of the solar system. No, let's have 3.5 billion years of single-celled life first. Okay.
I think it might trigger the boss fight now that I have the key in here. Got it. Okay. His points are so loose it hurts.
Well, they got to crank out the
before you
oxygen.
spit
Well, let's
on
have
this idea so
fishes
much.
first.
Let-
Let's have plant life first. Let's have fern.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna pause this for a minute for this boss fight. It is on hard, so it's probably gonna be rather difficult. Oh, he's a big ugly. Oh, he gets black marks on his face when I shoot him? That's pretty cool. Oh, wait a minute. I have grenades. That would be useful. Fuck. Yep, I gotta go. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's pretty. Yeah, got it. Hell yeah. Which button? Oh, okay. Shit, I gotta make it come back out again? That sucks. Hey, the dog! The dog! A wolf. Oh! That sucked a lot. Jesus. I could certainly use more shotgun shells at this point. I have enough gunpowder. Lovely. Okay, well. Shit, I knew I shouldn't have shot right then. God damn it. Ah, damn. Okay. There we go. Hell yeah. Shit. Yes. I appreciate you, Wolfie. Oh. Oh. Oh wait, do I get to run up on it? Nope, 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 I don't. God damn. What? You gotta be fucking kidding me, man. Fuck. There we go. Yes. Jesus Christ. I have no more. Oh, I do have heals. Just need to save one of them. Shit. All right. Sick.
No, let's have T-Rex dining on their mammal ancestors first. It just doesn't sound like an efficient way to make that happen.
Did
It
someone
sounds
say
like
it
the
had to
human
be
ego
efficient?
getting in the way again.
Well, all right. Let me ask it in a different way, and then I'll let it go. Are
First
you
try
not
two.
a little lonely to imagine a story, the story you've told here tonight, to be, while beautiful, while majestical, while mysterious, somehow purposeless? That is, it seems to have just happened in some kind of accidental or random way. If you were to ask the deep question,
Thank you, thank you.
why did it happen this way or no other way, or why are we here, you would end up having to say, until, of course, as you put out, someone brillianter than you comes along, but you'd end up having to say, I don't know, and maybe we'll never know, because it is the nature of this, of the scientific method to not look, to be actually very suspicious of ego, purposes, cause and effects, which reflect nicely upon the thinker. And therefore, you're left, sadly, I think, in the posture of not
I need
being able to answer the lonely
to get more
question
resources.
called, why
Oh, fuck.
did this all happen? You can't answer that. I don't think.
I think that's you've constructed it in a way that makes it sound like a lonely question.
Yeah.
But let's go back in time, okay? Why did
Hey,
the
what's up?
lightning bolt strike the temple? Okay? Well, because the temple's the highest region and thing, and it conducts electricity, we later learned. Okay? There are a lot of why questions that used to be mysterious. And someone back then would have asked it in the same way you just asked the why questions then. Why do some people take
I'm actually gonna have to. Hang on, let me read that. It was funny when JS2K shut down your Mr. Girl argument, but it was cool you part of that trend. I disagree with that being the same thing wholeheartedly, but also thank you. When I get to the next save point, I'm gonna wrap for tonight. It's I know it's gonna be close to the time my wife goes to bed, and I want to at least try to spend a little bit of time with her tonight. She, 'cause I'm going to Ohio, she's not. So to make sure that not wasting time we have.
I need like 10, 15 minutes more of stuff I gotta do before I can.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm waiting till the next day.
Perfect. Sounds perfect for both of us.
Perfect time. I'm getting sick of Neil. I understand. We were almost done with that. If we would have picked this one first, we would have finished it. But I just wanted to make like at least an effort to engage with some kind of physics research before I end up talking to Mr. Girl. However, next time I'm gonna pick next time we do this, I'll pick a more broadly interesting topic. Oh wait, I'm missing one. I don't have all the dials. That's annoying. Oh, there it is. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And die. Oh, we will never know. No, there's germs. They just like drank a vial of E. coli. You know, I mean, we there are causes and effects of things that have been revealed over time that were previously left to the mysteries of the universe. And so I am not quick to chalk up modern day mysteries to just simply, we may never know. Because the success of the methods and tools of science has been such that I retain a level of confidence that going forward, whether or not in my lifetime, perhaps others, we'll probably figure it out. And if the day comes where we actually can show that something is unfigure-outable, that'll be an interesting time. But I'm not going to believe that I'm living in that time now because people have made that mistake for millennia before us.
But what you will figure out, I think, is how. You'll say, somebody.
Oh, see, now you're converting the why to a how.
Yeah.
No, the person says, why is it that we die? We know how we die because after we figure it out, it's no longer a why, it's a how. Okay? Because now we know how it is, and you're.
Yeah. The problem with using the approach that Mr. Girl has to like learning physics by using ChatGPT is he's developed no frame into which to filter the information he's getting through. It's really bad. In order to learn physics, there's not just prerequisite information you need to have in order to like learn like the next things, which you do. Oh, she had a razor. But also almost every single book about physics, which if you read a lot of books on physics, it's maddening. It's the worst thing ever. They all go through the history of our knowledge and how we got there. So like I'm so tired of hearing about the same stories about Aristotle and everybody that comes before and what they taught us to get us to this point, because I've heard it 1,000 times, or I've read it 1,000 times at this point. It's exhausting. Oh. Hi, Ashley. Bye, Ashley. Oh, I get it. We hear the messages that they do. They're our saviors. I see. Okay, that gives me a safe point. But there's a reason why almost every single author who talks about physics goes over these things. Getting an understanding of our development of these things is important. I don't think it's important that I have to read it every single fucking book. I usually do anyways, in case they're trying to make a specific point early on about some of these early turning points in our understanding of physics. But they usually don't, and I usually hate it, and I'm usually very annoyed every time I have to read about the history again. But it is, I would say that it is, even in ways that I can't fully understand, crucial for getting me to think in the right way to take in the information. Because so there's some things, especially once we get up to like quantum physics, the kinds of conclusions that you can draw without prepping your intellect to go in a certain direction, that would be there's just so much. I could see some people learning some things about quantum mechanics and just go, oh, like you could draw the conclusion that, oh, there's how would I? You could end up thinking that like particles have consciousness, like subatomic particles have consciousness, things like that. There's all kinds of wacky conclusions that people can draw on by just getting bits of information from where we've learned, and it's just it's not just ineffective, but I would say it's like radically inappropriate to approach it this way. Every scientific academic book paper will do this. After a while, it becomes obnoxious, especially because they typically whiff on the introductory information you would actually need. I know that quantum effects are assumed to be similar to each other, while they're in fact a larger amount of very different ones. Yeah, if you use ChatGPT, 1 or 2 quantum theories that you think you know the whole framework of quantum. So like there's also there's like intuitive conclusion that you can draw. Like one of my one of the things that just like sort of like pointed me was, I guess, like showed me that I was thinking about things in a really good way is when I first learned about how electrons sort of they quantum tunnel, like they go from here to here. And I read about that. I was like, well, we don't actually know that, right? Like we know that this is going away and this is appearing at the exact same time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same electron. This is the appropriate way to think about it. It's not appropriate to say because like that this is jumping per se. In effect, you like it's just an electron. There's no like signature on it to tell that it's the same one or not. So there's I don't know. It's not that pragmatic, but the having the correct way of approaching the phenomena that you're going to get introduced to when you're studying these things is extremely important, especially if you're going to broaden out to look at astrophysics in a large scale and try to get an understanding or make claims about what's happening based on your observations. It's very important to know that you're using the right kind of thinking, and learning physics the appropriate way is going to teach you how to think about it in an appropriate way. I think really good critical thinking skills without this kind of like learned guidance is going to have you critically thinking crazy shit. It really is, and that's one of the things that like I really really love about the subject is that if you're creative and you have a really good critical thinking skills, you're gonna be able to let your mind run wild. You're gonna be able to fit pieces together, even if they don't belong together. You're gonna be able to put things together that might not even necessarily fit, but it gives you a lot to think about. It's like a very like fulfilling kind of like intellectual experience that you can have that also feels creative, because a lot of the stuff we don't really know the answers to, so you can feel like you're figuring shit out, which is really fun to do. It's really fun to talk to other people about it and have them try to like pick it apart, and if not, talk about like, you know, like, well then how likely could this be. Like my friend and I, we used to come up with stuff a lot, and we ran into an issue before. We're like, well, really have an issue of saying like what is true. So we like came up with like a criteria. We wrote it all out. I don't remember what it all was anymore, but it was like a truth quotient. Like if we exceed, like if we meet these different metrics and it exceeds above this value, then we're going to feel comfortable explaining to each other that this is just true. While we understand that nothing that we talk about with each other is going to be 100% true, we can't know it. But after a certain point, we're just going to consider it true for all discussions until new information becomes available, and then we can change it. And we're just that nerdy to where we like wanted a actual value for the thing to be able to say that it was true when discussing it with each other. Which is probably unnecessary. Which is definitely unnecessary. Most people aren't going to do that. But it is a good way to go about talking about things where things are this murky and our knowledge, while quite expansive, is really super limited. Or memorize and apply that clever solution to absurd esoteric non-issues. That seems like something that I would probably do. But I think there's certainly a part of me that just feels like insulted that he thinks he can spend like a night with ChatGPT and thinks he has it figured out. But like I also feel like emotions aside, like totally justified in saying like, I know you fucking didn't. And I look at what he wrote, it's obnoxious. The claims don't line up with even like there's a bunch of truth statements in there, or fact statements in there that are simply not true. So if he's building off those, like they can't be true. It's very, very frustrating for me. He's learning the results and not the frameworks. Yeah, and I don't even know what he is learning. That's why I want to talk to him. I need to know, like, how are you drawing these conclusions? What are the fact statements that you're building your premise for your conclusion on? Like, I don't want to get to the conclusion until well after I've talked to you a good amount to try to see, like, what informed you to take this approach? What informed you to continue the approach? It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. I mean, kind of, it has to be. Because there's no way to be this confident and this wrong, but also be like, but also be like a fairly intelligent person at the same time. And I think all those things are happening all at once, and it's so frustrating. Because I have and will continue to stand up to Mr. Girl and say like, hey, I think you're stupid right now. I think what you're saying is dumb, and you shouldn't say it, or like whatever, that if it's a behavior or whatever, and it's because I respect him. But like, I don't love that part. Luckily for me, at least this subject has this built-in part of has this like built-in mechanism for me for all this time where like I kind of do like aggressively telling people they're wrong when it comes to physics when I know. It's just because of like how my friend and I used to engage with each other. It's sort of the thing that made the subject so fun for us both to like read and come back to each other with stuff and argue back and forth. So it'll be a lot easier than some of the other times that I've had to challenge him on like I have in the past. But yeah, I'm glad that I at least got to do a yeah, it's usually not fun, but like this is one subject where it can be kind of fun for me. I just hope that I'm a little worried that I'll get mad and just like start being a dick. I don't want to do that because like there's not a lot of subjects that I like. Cause, like I know what I don't know, and if I don't know, I'm not gonna argue and say like you're just fucking wrong. You're being stupid. Like, but like if I know for a fact that I'm right about something, which there are facts of the matter that he stated that are just incorrect, I might get mad because I'm passionate about it, and I don't wanna be a dick, but like I feel like I put him on notice that could happen, and so I guess it'll just be up to him to hold his own boundaries if he doesn't like how I'm behaving, and then if he tells me that like I'll probably scale it back, but then afterwards I'm still gonna feel bad because I'm like that. Yeah, thanks for... Sometimes you need to be a dick to persuade. Yeah, it's like if I can't just, like, normal reason it with them, then I'll have to, like, beat them over the head with it. I don't I just prefer not to. But like I said, at least with physics, it feels a lot better while I'm doing it because that's how I'm used to having it go for like all my arguments with my best friend who used to uh just unprofessionally, like direct like university affiliatedly study physics. We're just doing it because we wanted to, and just like fight with each other all the time about it. It was good. When I get to an argument, I try to rein it in a lot so I don't be a dick. I relate to your struggles with not being a dick about things while also not letting go of your ideas. So a lot of categories, I'm pretty good at it. Because there's so much room for like how people feel about something in almost every argument that I would have in this space. There's like a lot of room for like, well, how you might interpret something or how you might think about something. But there's not really that much room with this. And even if Mr. Real has a difference in opinion on some of the things that like might have some wiggle room on, I don't think that he's going to be able to convince me that he has legitimate grounds for that. I think I'd be anxious about being a dick about it with any other character, but I think I'd be primed to deal with it from history. That's fair too. It does help to know that like he doesn't mind people being shitty. Yeah, I guess if you guys had fun, like to stream tomorrow. Oh man, what I have planned for tomorrow? I think I have a sticky note here. Let me see. That's not it. That's not the one. That's one. Damn it. That's not it either. Not 100% sure. I think I might be misquoting myself here. Damn it, I wish I knew what that one was. I assume that it's going to be one of the close to the end of the analysis videos. But if not, I'm going to put it out in the Discord as soon as I find the sticky note with it. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I had a lot of fun. Making almost no progress at all in Resident Evil 4 and getting most of the way through this physics video. Oh, I guess I'll just add, we got, thank you. We got like a good handful of new subs yesterday too. And of course, now people are showing up now that I'm getting ready to wind it down. I think tomorrow would be a good candidate for me to stream later. Not start later, but just go later. But I'll see, because I feel like Tuesday's my first day my wife goes back to work after having 3 days off. She's probably going to crash out sooner. If she crashes out while I'm streaming tonight, I'm pretty comfortable continuing. But yeah, good night, guys. Thanks for stopping by. See you tomorrow. Peace out.